Hello friends and welcome. My name is Popeye and today we're playing some more Higurashi Chapter 7, Minagoroshi. Before we get into it, this game has some pretty serious themes, so I want to give some trigger warnings before we get into it. This game deals with themes of death, murder, suicide, body horror, dismemberment, torture, in particular, the series we're about to dive right into child abuse, and any of those things against a minor. If you missed any of what I said, please feel free to ask or look down below in the description where I have all of those listed. All right. Hi, Samuses. How are you? So yeah, what happened last time? Basically, our classmates were still kind of as Rika, although a lot of last time switched over to Keiichi. But basically, we're trying to help Sadako, who is currently with her abusive uncle, trying to formulate a plan of what to do. We told our teacher, we called Child Protective Services. They went over and they're like, well, looks fine for now. I guess we'll wait and see. Shion wanted to go and murder the uncle. Keiichi talks her out of it because in some respect he's like, I kind of remember that happening, and Rena also remembers like murdering, not quite, but like I feel like it would be a bad thing if we did it this way. We wouldn't want that. Sadako wouldn't want that. You're basically throwing away your end goal, which is for all of us to be happy, by doing something that will make us unhappy, even though it'll like help temporarily. Even better? Well, I hope you continue to be... I hope you get even more better. Yeah. I don't know what it is. This past week has just felt so draining to me. Every day, I just feel so tired. And I've heard several other people express the same things as well, so... Not sure if something's up. I don't know if there's a full moon coming up. I don't know what's going on there. All I know is it's not just me and my wife. I've seen a bunch of other people talk about it as well. How much am I charging for rent? Technically, we have a basement that has like the separate entrance, so it could be made into an apartment. Just that basement hasn't been touched since literally like the 70s. I would not recommend being there right now. It's filthy. I need to redo all like the caulking of the windows, not just in the basement, on the main floor. I've only done 2 of them so far. Yeah, 2 of them. And there's like some water, not like gushing in, but there's clearly some like leaks where it's going in. But luckily it's in a room that has a drain, so it's all going into the drain for now. But it's kind of moldy. Yeah, not great. So, based on current price, about $1,000. I guess technically it's a torture chamber. I'm allergic to mold. I'm actually kind of surprised that I haven't been like sneezing and stuff. I know one of the spots where the water's coming in. There's a few places, and some of them are like behind like particle board walls, so I don't quite know. But there's one place I do know. There's a shelf that has been like bolted into just like the cement foundation, I guess it is, the wall. And I can see that the water's coming in like through where the bolt. And it's a good size. It's about an inch. I don't know, inch. I don't know if that helped. I guess you know how big an inch is. 2.54-ish centimeters for non-American folks. And I can tell that the water's coming through that, and just like the underside of that is just like a white sheet of snow of mold. So one of my things coming up soon is to unscrew that from the wall. Because yeah, it's not great. It's a cold room, so like it's supposed to be cold, but it's not supposed to be damp. It's not supposed to be a damp room. It's a cold room. Yeah. So back to the game. So our friends decided, hey, they're not doing enough. Let's go directly to the. You're incapable of visualizing things in any measurement system. Actually, here you go. This is like lip balm. So lip balm. There's lip balm compared to my cheek. Lip balm compared to my palm. It's lip palm. Now it's lip palm. Lip palm. I hope that helps. I hope that clears everything up for you. It's probably a little bit smaller than that. Yeah, so we went down to the what are they called? Child Protective Services. That's not the name for it, but basically that's the function to basically protest their decision to just wait and see. Because one, this happened the previous year, and two, Reek knows that this happened in hundreds, maybe not hundreds, tens of world lines. But they always adopt a wait and see, and she makes a very pointed comment to the teacher of, all you organizations say that you'll do something, you'll wait and see, you'll do nothing, and then later when something does happen, you're like, oh no, how could anyone have foreseen this when you were told about it in the first place? So we're there, we're waiting to be let in to speak with, I guess, the counselor. Let's dive into it.
あそこで暇そうにしてる人たちが話を聞いてくれてもいいと思いません？あそこにいるのは一般事務員だよ。私たちはちゃんと話すべき相手と話さなきゃならない。
Yeah, okay, so we're waiting for the actual social worker for her case.
待たされるということは。
And Mion knows a bit about how this kind of works because she's had to go and talk to these government officials as her role as acting head of the city. This sounds like a commentary on modern society. I mean, this is a commentary on society in the 80s, and I think it was the 90s when this was first made. I guess the government hasn't done anything to improve. Who would have thought?
どうなんだろうね。考えてみれば、ここの職員が暇そうでちょうどいい気がしてくるよ。
Oh, and for sure, one, child services is going to be underfunded, not have the tools they need, both in terms of the authority to act on things and likely training and just, staff in general. And three, sadly, people just don't report because either one, they're afraid that their abuser's going to find out. They don't think that they're going to help. They've been hurt by government agencies in the past. Like, there's so many reasons that sadly people either don't or can't reach out.
虐待の相談が繁盛しているようでは、世も末なのです。
After 30 minutes, they finally called my name. I wrote down my name at the registration as Mion can't let them know she's from the Sonozaki family.
今呼ばれた前原ですけど。
I went to the receptionist to find a uniformed older lady. She must be one of the office workers Mion mentioned. She really gonna be the one dealing with us? Okay, so they don't have modern art. Did they ever have art? No. I thought they actually might, because in the anime version, the office workers here are depicted. So I thought they might, but apparently not.
本日は5人でいらっしゃってますが、どういうご相談でしょうか?
The only thing I wrote on the registration is that I want to talk about Sadako Hojo.
昨日、ひなみざ文庫の千恵先生から通報があった北条聡子の保護についての件です。それでちょっとお話ししたいことがありまして。
前原さんと皆さんは北条聡子さんのお友達ですか?
はい。クラスメートです。
お話の内容ですが、概要をお聞かせいただいてもよろしいですか?
実は北条聡子の件なんですけど、
One thing I will say,
虐待はなくて、
I'm surprised they're even giving these kids like the time of day. I'm surprised they're not like, oh yeah, like don't worry, us adults have got it. You know, your teacher and I, and like all the adults have got. I'm surprised they're even giving them the time of day on this, without putting the Sonozaki family name like bang on the table.
それで聡子の状況についてもう少し詳しく説明がしたいと思いまして今日来たわけなんですが。
わかりました。もうしばらくお待ちください。
That was it from her then. A real social worker would be coming here to talk with us. She was just asking us basic information. That done, she was talking on the phone, explaining to someone what I just told her.
何を聞かれたの？
今日は何のご用事ですかって聞かれたぜ。もうちょい待たされるのかな。
こういう無意味な待ち時間ってイラつきます。
みーはさっきからポスターとかチラシばかり読んでいますが楽しいですか？
生活上の問題を見たり聞いたりしたらご通報くださいなんてのがいっぱいあるよ。だから私たちみたいなのが来ても決してお門違いってわけじゃなさそうだね。
虐待の目を摘む地域みんなの目だって。これって川柳なのかな？
言われてみればそういう啓発ポスターがいっぱい貼ってあるな。さすが児童相談所だぜ。
Child Consultation Centre, that's the name of this place.
内側に貼ってもあまり意味がないと思いますです。
I was literally thinking this. If you make it here, you've probably already decided what you want to do. It's people outside who don't have access to it that need this information, that need this support. Rika-chan was right. You should be posting them all over the city, not just inside the building.
前原様、大変お待たせしました。2番の相談室へお入りください。
お、呼ばれたぜ。行こう行こ
As we walked, we soon saw rooms numbered 1 through 3.
う。へえ、銀行みたいにカウンター越しに普通に話すのかと思ってたぜ。個室になってるのか。
多分プライバシー保護のためだね。相談する内容はほとんどの場合あまり人に聞かれたくない内容だと思うから。
そういう家庭内のトラブルを囲んで見えなくしてしまう土壌がきっと児童虐待を助長してしまうんだろうね。
家庭問題は見て見ぬふりをするのが美徳っぽいとこって確かにありますね。
So what Shion's saying here is especially important in Japanese culture, especially probably even more back in the 80s, where you wanted to present a united front of, hey, we're all successful, we're all fine, we're all doing well. Any sign of, like injury or mental illness or just weakness in general was basically saying we are less of a good family than someone else. That's probably something that's a bit lost to Western audiences. Room number 2. It's this one. No, it's this 2. As I knocked, I heard the voice of a man telling me to come in. It was a very small room. Well, I should say it was narrow. It wasn't wide, but it was very long. There was a counter in the middle which split the room into 2. The man was sitting on the other side of the counter. He told us to take a seat, but there were only 2 chairs. I sat down since we registered under my name. Mion wouldn't sit because she felt that the Sonozaki sisters shouldn't be in the front. Rena tried to offer the seat to Rika-chan, but she refused to, so Rena ended up taking it. It was such a tiny room that it was better for us to take a seat. It was very cramped with the 5 of us.
普通はご両親が2人でお見えになることが多いので。
I understand
それで
that.
今日はどういったご相談でしょうか。
俺が代表で喋っていいのか。
Wait, didn't the... I was gonna say, didn't the log say it was a man, but... I guess that could be a man's voice. Who am I to judge?
通報があって相談所の人が聡子のところへ行ったと思います。ただそこで緊急性がないと判断されて様子見になったと聞き、 相談所の方が事態をよく把握されてないんじゃないかと思って、その辺の説明に参りました。
Mia nodded. Seemed like I was doing okay so far.
説明と申しますと、
Okay, there we go. So there's two people in this room, at least on their side.
お聞かせいただけますか。
ですね、確かに聡子はおじに連れ去られてからまだ2日しか経ってませんが、ひどい乱暴をされるのは時間の問題なんです。実際去年の時にもおじは聡子をひどくいじめていたんです。そういういじめが行われるのは時間の問題だと思います。だからそうなる前に聡子をおじの元から救い出してほしいんです。でも聞くところによれば相談所は様子見ってことになったそうじゃないですか。
様子見なんて聡子を見殺しにするつもりですか？聡子が虐待を受けていないから助けなくていいなんてよく言えますね。虐待を受けたらその傷は誰が責任を取ってくれるんです？
Shion probably didn't like how polite I was speaking to him. She was already flaring up the rage at the social worker. Looked like Mian didn't want her to tear into him. However, she let Shion finish. She'd get even more furious if we tried to stop her. The man seemed to be used to people losing their temper, and he continued to react without reacting to Shion's
まず
outburst.
誤解を解いておきたいと思いますけど、北条さんの件は現在対応中です。見殺しとか放置とかそういうわけではないんですよ。
Working on her case. They're not abandoning her. They're currently reviewing options, I suppose. Well, their mature phrasing made me start to think that it might be rude to rush and harsh to say that they were abandoning her. Rena quietly opened her mouth.
でも昨日の時点では何もせずに帰られてますよね。
No one can ever fool Rena. Taking their time to review options was the exact same thing as abandoning her. Fact is, they left her in that house without taking any action to prevent her from being
昨夜は
abused.
相談所の者が直接お伺いし、ご事情を伺わせていただきました。それ以上のことはプライバシーがありますのでお話しできませんが、決して見殺しなんてことはありません。北条さん親子が健全な生活を送れるよう引き続き指導していくつもりです。
何言ってんです？誰が親子ですか？おじとめいです。本当に事態を把握してんですか？
失礼しました。おじとめいですね。とにかく親権者と児童が健全な関係を結べるよう指導中です。
Shion had pounced on his mistake immediately. I didn't think she needed to be so snappy, but at this point, I was starting to understand how different their sense of urgency was from ours.
聡子は普通に生活してきたんですよ。おじなんかの助けもなく。第一、おじはそれまで1年間どっかへ蒸発していて、いきなり帰ってきて聡子をさらったんですよ。それって誘拐じゃないんですか？
誘拐というのは言い過ぎですね。子は親権者の定めるところに住まなければならないと定められています。民法の第821条で親権者はこの
1年間も聡子をほったらかしてたんですよ。なんであんな奴が親権者なんて言えるんですか？そりゃシオン、聡子の両親が2年目のたたりで死んだ時、ちゃんとそういうことになってるんだよ。
そうなのか？あんなやつでも親権者なんて名乗れるのか？
民法の何条だかは知らないけど、未成年者は親権に服さないといけないと決められてる。つまり子である限り誰にでも親権者はいるんだよ。いや、いないといけないんだよ。
それは民法の第818条ですね。
それってのはつまり聡子の両親が亡くなった時に自動的におじおばの夫婦にスライドするもんなのか？
基本的には近い親族に決まる。聡子にはおじ夫婦しか親類がいないようだったからね。もちろん聡子たちが望めば他の人が親権者になることもあったかもしれないけど、ダム戦争の直後のひなみ沢で憎き北条家の子供ですから、引き取り手なんて現れるわけないじゃないですか。引き手あまたであっさり君吉のおじいちゃんが後見人になってくれたリカちゃまとは事情が違うんです。
Knew that the Hojo family was in favor of the dam project. The whole village hated her family for that reason. I thought everything was over after they canceled the project and Sadako's parents died. Are you aware of the difference? Difference between how the villagers treat Sadako and how they treat Rika-chan? Villagers don't abuse Sadako like her uncle. Maybe there were small thorns left in the village and they were stinging Sadako occasionally.
大きい声じゃ言えないけど、おじ夫婦より聡子の一家の方が財産は持ってたと思う。親権者になれば、この財産管理権ができるからね。だからおじ夫婦はあの後、シャーシャーと聡子の家へ引っ越してきて乗っ取っちゃったわけよ。あいつらの本当の家知ってる？めちゃくちゃ小さくて狭いんだよ。
なんだか嫌な話だね。でも親権者が1年間もさとこちゃんを放置してたんでしょ？それって親権者って言えるの？どうなんですか？
そうですね。民法の4編4章に親権の喪失についての定めというのがあります。
The man opened the thick book on the counter and showed us that page. I didn't completely understand what it says there. It seemed that a parent can lose custody when they're being
つま
irresponsible.
り親の資格というのは取り消せるものなんだね。
待て待て。
People have garbage opinions? Yep.
何？
家庭裁判所はこの親族または検察官の請求によってその親権の喪失を宣告することができる。何ですかこれ？あんなやつの親権を奪うのにのんびりと家庭裁判所の判断を待たなきゃならないんですか？
The entire Metroid series is quote-unquote super ugly. First of all, you can't just disown an entire series. No matter what the thing is, it's almost impossible to fail on like every aspect. And ugly is subjective, second of all. But also, if you like look back at like the original Metroid, like on NES, I would say it looks better than. No, I don't know if I'd say it's gorgeous, but it's probably average at the very least. I would probably put it slightly above average with some of the different worlds it has in it. And the one thing I will say is Metroid, to me, like, my favorite thing's always been the music from it. I think it has pretty good music. It's definitely some iconic pieces. Especially when they're done with bagpipes. And I mean, it combined with Castlevania definitely defined a series, like a genre. That's why you have Metroidvania. It's in the name.
そんな悠長な。
いえいえ、本当にそのようなことがあった場合には、児童の安全のため緊急の一時保護をすることもあります。
Yeah, every individual area has a unique... Yeah. Has its own design elements. Yeah, like it would be one thing if it was literally just like a palette swap. But it's not.
もちろんその場合も。
And this coming from... I've only fully played through the original and Super. I haven't played any of the more modern ones, any of the 3D ones, but I wouldn't say they're bad.
その834条の親権喪失に北条哲平は該当しないんですか？親権者である北条哲平は1年間育児放棄をしていた事実、それを相談所ではどうお考えですか？
それはプライバシーがありますのでお答えできませんが、もちろんその点についても相談所の。
でその説明に納得したんで様子見ってことになったわけですか？
ですから先ほども申しましたように現在対応中です。児童の身柄ももちろん第一に考えますし、児童が健全な家族環境の中で暮らしていけるよう慎重に対応するつもりです。
Yeah, I mean, like it would be fine if the person's like, hey, like it's not for me, like other people can like it, but it's not for me. It's because it's subjective. There's a difference between saying everything sucks and saying it's not for me. One of those is being objective. It just sucks. The other is being subjective, like, hey, I don't like it. That's the difference to me. Just like you, we weren't on the same page at all. They just weren't understanding the urgency. I've never met this Tepe guy. I only know about the situation based on what my friends told me about last year and what Chie-sensei told us. But I still understood very well. I understood that something really bad was going to happen if we didn't take any action right now.
だいたい去年だっておじおば揃っていじめてたんですよ。そんなおじのところに預けてても大丈夫なんですか？その時のことが記録に残ってるはずですよね。
過去の件についてはプライバシーでお答えできませんが、もちろん総合的に判断した上で対応しております。
昨日も登校してこないし、今日も登校してきませんでした。確かに学校には風邪だと連絡があったそうですが、おじに連れて行かれてから一度も学校に来てないなんておかしくありませんか？
そうですね。ただ風邪で2日休むこともないとは言えません。もう少し様子を見てもいいんではないかと思います。
とにかく聡子がおじのところにいたいわけがないんですよ。おじに無理やり監禁されているんです。
もちろん当方の職員が直接児童に聞き取りも行い、その上で判断しております。
結局あれですか？聡子の過去の嘘通報が今田を引いてるってわけですか？
過去の件はプライバシーでお答えできません。児童のために総合的に判断しています。
聡子のやつ、兄の聡に変に義理立てして虐待されててもされてないって言うと思うんですよ。だから聡子が虐待はないって言っても鵜呑みにしないでください。
打ちのめされた人間には助けを求める気力もないってことわかりますよね？
もうしのごの言わずに聡子を早く助け出してください。聡子に何かあったら絶対許さないですから。私が真摯の対応しているうちに何とかしないと大変なことになるよ。よしなよしよん。心象を悪くするだけだよ。
相談所の人が言った時、おじがどういう態度をしたのか分かりませんが、とにかくあいつは乱暴なやつなんです。
I love how Keiichi is like level-headed, and then his voice is picks up a little bit at the end, and then his actual text is like multiple exclamation points, not explanation points.
騙されないでください。今日はそれを伝えたくて来たんです。
だからどうか一刻も早く聡子ちゃんを助け出す判断を下すよう保護司の人に伝えてください。よろしくお願いいたします。
Some of us were getting emotional, but Mion calmed them down, and Rena summed it up nicely. I love how it's some of us when it's literally just Shion. I stopped speaking to see what she was going to say next.
保護士さんではなく福祉士さんですね。お話は分かりました。聡子さんのお友達3、4、5人からその旨の訴えがあったことを。
Did it really take you that long to count to 5? You're like 3, 4, 5 of you, 5.
引き続き慎重に対応してまいりますので、今後も何かございましたらお知らせいただければと思います。どうか今後とも児童福祉にご協力いただければ幸いです。
本日は貴重なお話をお聞かせくださり誠にありがとうございました。
Actually, sorry, my mind went back to the conversation we were having, Sam says. The other thing that I can think of is, how old is this person you were discussing with on the internet? Because if you're a bit older and you, like, grew up through, like, the NES generation, the N64 generation, probably a lot of us, myself included, probably look at those games with a bit of rose-colored glasses. And if we went to look back at them, some of them probably did not age well at all. But they still have very fond memories for us. Whereas if you're someone who is, like, hasn't known anything older than, like, I don't know, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii era, you probably have a very different outlook on the graphics and gamings, like, as a whole in general. We're still in Okonomiya. We're in the city park, devoid of playing children, staring vacantly up at the madder, red sky in silence.
なんだかこう、うまくあしらわれた感じがしてならないです。
かといって邪険にされたわけじゃないし。
And I think that's why, like, right now you have a lot of games coming out with that, like, retro feel, that, like, 16-bit look and feel that appeals to, like, that inner nostalgia in a lot of older gamers at this point.
あの人は多分相談窓口の人で、さとこちゃんの件を直接担当してる人じゃないんだよ。だからああいう言い方になっちゃうんだよ。
ミオはさっきのやりとりはどう見た？
なんだか大木を相手に相撲を取ったような感じだね。押しても来ない、引いても来ない。あれじゃあ壁に向かって独り言を言ったのと変わらないじゃないですか。
そんなことないよ。ちゃんと今日の話を伝えてくれるって言ってた。あの人は直接さとこちゃんのことを知らないから、私たちから見たら冷たい言い方になっちゃうんだよ。
レナ的には今日の手応えはあったと思うか？
無駄だったとは思わないよ。でも本当の担当者の人には私たちの熱意は伝わらないだろうね。北条聡子の友人5人が保護を求めて本日夕方陳情ありって程度には伝えてくれると思う。
保護士じゃなくて福祉士でしたっけ？その人に直接訴えることはできないんですか？さあね、トラブルの多い職業らしいからね。直接の接触って難しいんじゃないの？真摯の対応をしてるうちに何とかしないと大変なことになるなんて脅迫しに来る人がいるくらいなんだからさ。
According to Mion, there are lots of problematic clients who show up at the Child Consultation Centre. Not a rare thing for them to get an aggressive visitor like Shion.
そういう相手に熱意を伝えるのって難しいね。熱意を感情的と履き違えれば履き違えるほど向こうは冷めた対応をするんだろうから。
ミオは天下の園崎家次期当主として役所の人とはだいぶ話してて、話術にも
She's probably also used to having her weight to throw around behind with her family name.
もっとうまく話せないのかよ。
お姉の話術じゃないです。お姉が園崎家のミヨンだから相手が平服してくれるだけです。今日の対応見ましたよね。お姉が園崎だと名乗ったらあんな狭い部屋じゃなくてきっと応接室で所長が対応してくれてますよね。
Mion gave a vague smile and didn't comment. Mion's greatest weapon is her family name. Without that weapon, she's just as ordinary as the rest of us. I shouldn't be thinking about this, but if the Sonozaki family forgave Sadako's family, it'd be really easy for them to save her.
やはり園崎家は今でも北条家が嫌いなのですか？
嫌いだって公言してる人はいないよ。でも根深いみたいだね。というかばあさんが北条嫌いの筆頭ですし、頭の中いつまでダム戦争やってるってんですか？死守同盟が解散して何年経ってるんです？
しーちゃんやめなよ。さとこちゃんはさとこちゃんだよ。私たちの大切な仲間。名字が何かなんて関係ないよ。
Shion went quiet and there was silence for a while. Rena was right. It's like how Sadako's last name doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Mion's last name is either. The important thing is that our friend is being abused right now. We have to do everything we can to save them from that situation. So we all looked up at the sky as we listened to the sound of cars passing by. We all felt hopeless. We had no idea what to do. Was what we did today going to help Sadako at all? Would have been better if they just kicked us out. That way we could have been angry with them. But after being treated politely like that, we had no choice but to back off and see what they were going to do. We were forced to just wait and see what happens. Everyone was trying to figure out what our next option was. I couldn't expect Chie-sensei to tell us everything was taken care of at the Board of Education. Right, that's where she is. That's why she didn't come with us. She was going to go petition the Board of Education to see if there was anything they could do to put pressure on them. That would be too good to be true.
どうしような。
I muttered to myself, hoping that someone would respond with a good idea. But the silence reminded me that everyone was just as stuck as me.
リカちゃんか。すまん。あれだけでかい口を叩いて、打つ手なしだ。
信じない。
え？
As I looked at her, I realized the expression on her face was stronger than ever.
圭一がシオンに言った。今は思いつかないけど、きっと最前提を思いつくから、俺を信じろって言った。だから私は信じた。だから圭一の口から打つ手がないなんて、悲しい言葉が漏れるなんて信じない。
I could see tears in her eyes. Rika-chan was sure that I could do something with the situation.
運命なんて金魚すくいの網より薄く破ってやるって言った。私はそれを信じる。今でも信じてる。だってあなたは運命なんかやすやす打ち破ってくれる人なんだもの。だから助けて、この運命から。聡子、助けて。
A tear rolled down from the corner of her eye. My heart was feeling the same way. Damn it. An innocent girl was becoming a prisoner of a tragic fate. She desperately needed help. I told them that they could trust me. In other words, that they could count on me. That they could bet on me. And betting is not an easy thing. If I lost, they'd lose their coins too. What does it mean to trust someone? It's about making a bet on that person. It's about betting a coin. It's about betting hope. Trusting someone is tantamount to placing your hopes in them. Geez, tantamount is a big word for like the end of a Friday. I told Shion yesterday. I told her to trust me. I didn't say it just because. I knew that those words meant something very serious. But now, after betraying Rika-chan and seeing her tears, I finally realized just how serious it was. I looked at Shion. She was in a rage again. Mion tried to calm her down, but she didn't have any ideas either. How about Rena? She's always been very reliable in a situation like this. I expected to see her strength. However, Rena also looked depressed. We didn't even know if what we did was a meaningful thing. Rena looked down with a devastated expression on her face, and she couldn't come up with an option either. Damn it, I have to do something for them. Rena's blue fire will melt iron. Mion can be strong when the wind is in our favor. Shion is the same way. They will move forward strongly when the wind is backing them up. They grow weak when the wind is blowing against them. Despite the whole situation, Rika-chan still believes in us. He believes that we can do something if we all come together. That's right, we all agreed. We said to each other that we can make a miracle happen if we all work together. What am I? Ren is the blue fire, I'm the red fire. I burn brightly and give strength to everyone. That's right, I'm Keiichi Maibara. I'm the magician of words. I have to motivate everyone. The blue fire won't light up unless the red fire does too. When the fire is lit, there will be wind. Mion and Shion will grow stronger too.
ありがとうな。リカちゃんが火打ち石を叩いてくれた。そして俺という火が燃え上がってきたぜ。
圭一。
Can't give up now. We're members of the strongest club ever. Nothing can ever stop us when we're together.
俺があの程度でへこむなんて情けないぜ。リカちゃんの言葉で目が覚めた。自分を信じろって言葉がどれだけ重いかってことを教えてもらったぜ。
Rika-chan knew our personalities well, and she figured out just who should motivate first. Whoa, I'm really starting to burn up.
おい、ミオ、いつまでしょぼくれてやがる。ここは怒り狂うところだぜ。おい。
Everyone looked at me with wide eyes as they turned at my powerful voice. They were both surprised by my sudden shout and waiting in anticipation at the vigor of my call. More and more clearly I could see it. This was Keiichi Maibara's role in this
さっきの
club.
対応は客観的に見てまずは空振りだな。多分レナの言うようにクラスメートが5人来て陳情って程度のメモ書きで終わっちまうんだろう。だからな、ああいう対応をしちまったら俺たちの怒りに火がついちまうぜ。
確かに木で鼻をくくったような感じだったけど。
俺たちは貞子の緊急の危機を訴えてんだぞ。ここは戦うとこだぞ。こんな公園で仲良くしょぼくれてる場合じゃねえ。
でも圭一くん、次に私たちは何をしたらいいんだろう。
へへへ。お前らまさかもうこの程度で晩作が尽きたとか思ってんじゃねえだろうな。お前らこれが部活なら全員ピリだぜ。
Yeah, this is fun. I was feeling depressed too, but now I've got a burning passion in my heart. I felt like I was cheering myself up. Why was I being so sad? I wanted to save Sadako. I had no time to rest. This was like the final seconds of the last round in a boxing match where we were at a disadvantage. Stand here stupefied, I'll lose by indecision. So the only option is to press the attack. Was I supposed to give up just because I couldn't knock out the opponent with one punch? No. If I couldn't take him out in one, I'd have to throw 2 or 3 punches. I'd have to try until I could finally knock him out.
連打あるのみって、また明日も陳情に行こうってわけですか？
近いけどちょいと甘えな。
何を考えてるんだか知らないけど。なんだかおじさんも面白そうな気がしてきたよ。これで泣き寝入りなんて我がぶらしくもない。この程度の逆風跳ね返してみせなきゃね。
Yes, Mion's getting her willpower back too.
そうだね、圭一くんの言う通りだよ。いじけてた自分が恥ずかしい。戦おう。
でもケイちゃん、具体的にはどうしようってわけさ。
みんなもちょいと思い出してみな。あの相談員は俺たちに宣戦布告をしてくれやがったわけだが、多分意識しなかったんだろうけどな。墓穴を掘ってくれたもんだぜ。しかもそいつはどうやら俺の最も得意とする戦術になりそうだぜ。
But he won't tell us what that is. Oh, and that's the end of that chapter. Alright, so we got 2 new tips. We'll start with the receptionist note. So I guess this is the note that was left after our visit. No. Date? I don't know. Year? I don't know. Subject: about Sadako Hojo-san. Visitor: Keiichi Maibara and 4 other friends. They are requesting protection for Sadako Hojo to save her from being abused by her uncle. Already being dealt with? Question. You shouldn't be unsure. I'm cleaning out the refrigerator, so please remove your personal belongings by this evening. That's nice. It's like, hey, I don't know if we're dealing with that kid who's being abused, but I hope so. Also, it's end of week, so clear out the fridge, because I'm going to toss everything in the trash so it doesn't go bad and make the fridge smell. The bank book frustration. Teppy suspected that Sadako was hiding more money somewhere. In reality, she had none at all. Teppy had asked her how she survived until now, but she told him that she didn't have to use money because she was living with her friend. Teppy had made some money off of illegal gambling. Well, he had some of that money saved up. He had no intention to use it on living expenses. Who spends money on living expenses? However, there was no way Sadako didn't have the money. Teppy was convinced of that. Teppy's wife, Sadako's aunt, must have taken away the family bank book when Sadako's parents died in the accident. But her aunt also died last year, and Satoshi is gone too. I mean, Sadako should have hidden the bank book somewhere. However, no matter how much he threatened her, she told him that she didn't know anything about it. He continued to question Sadako, believing that she was hiding it somewhere. He couldn't beat her because her teacher in the Child Consultation Centre would suspect him. So he wouldn't beat her. What a nice guy. Instead, he spoke to her in a loud and violent voice and broke furniture in front of her. That seems like a great way to save money. Just break everything you own. Threatening people like that is Teppei's forte. However, Sadako continued to claim that she had no clue about the bank book. She didn't seem to be lying. After destroying the whole living room, leaving Sadako frightened like a scared little animal, Teppei finally believed that Sadako had no idea where the bank book was. In that case, where could it be? Teppei had two ideas. One idea was that his wife hid it somewhere in secret. The other idea was that Satoshi took it after his wife's death and hid it somewhere. Either way, he was certain it was hidden somewhere in this house. He told Sadako to clean up the mess he made in the living room and started searching around the house. Teppei was starting to get bored with Sadako. He'd heard that Sadako's parents had a lot of money saved up. His wife had taken control of that money herself. Since his wife had become quite thrifty, he was sure that she left the bank book somewhere without using it. Once he got his hands on that money, he could move somewhere else entirely. Teppei was still acquainted with a few people from the gambling spot in Gogura. People he used to help out are still hanging around that area. They still owe him. They should at least let him crash there. It was great that Sadako takes care of all the chores around the house, but Teppei felt uncomfortable about being watched by both the school and the consultation center. Teppei, all too aware that he's a man of violence, couldn't stand living with Sadako without being violent towards her. The more he suffered, the stronger his urge to beat up Sadako grew. Since Teppei only knew joy through forcing others who resist to submit, testing to see how violent he could get before the helpless Sadako resisted him with something he was very excited to try eventually. Still upset over the visitation by the schoolteacher, Teppei promised himself that he would destroy Sadako's life before leaving the village. What a nice guy. Your teacher wants you to come to school? I'm just gonna ruin your life now. It seems like a fair trade. Alright, so we'll save. That was the end of Chapter 6. And we'll start Chapter 7. I don't remember exactly how many chapters are in this. 9, I want to say? Which would put us in the final third, but usually they start short and get longer. My classmates looked at me with surprise. I stood at the front of the room and banged on the blackboard. I needed to get their attention. Everyone went quiet as soon as I brought up her name. They all knew how bad of a situation Sadako was in. Remembering what happened to her last year, they understood how critical it was that she get help as soon as possible. Everyone was thinking they wanted to save Sadako if they could, but they hadn't done anything because they didn't know what they alone could do.
今さら説明の必要もないと思う。知っての通り、聡子はもうこれで3日続けて学校に来てない。おじの野郎に連れ去られて3日目。今日も風邪だと電話してきやがったらしいが、それはありえない。診療所にはこの3日間、聡子が診察に訪れた記録は一切ないからだ。諸君、冷静に考えろ。3日も休むような重い風邪でどうして病院に連れて行かないなんてことがあるのか。
3日も風邪なんてなかなかないよね。
インフルエンザだとそれくらいは。でもそんな風邪なら市販の薬では治らない。
The whole class agreed that was a bit strange. Everyone had been thinking the same thing inside their hearts. However, no one had really come forward and talked about it. This was a good start.
狂犬が売りの聡子だぞ。賞味期限切れの饅頭を食ってもペロッとしてるやつだ。それが前日まであれだけ元気で突然風邪で3日も寝込むだと。そんなことがありえてたまるか。これはもう疑いようがない。聡子が学校へ行けないようにしてるやつがいるからだ。もちろんこの異常な状況を学校は沖宮の生活相談所に連絡済みだ。だが返事は相変わらず現在対応中の一点張り。踏み込んだ質問は 全てプライバシー保護でお話しできないのを繰り返した。諸君はどう思う？この対応は。
レナはおかしいと思う。去年さとこちゃんのおじさんとおばさんがどんな仕打ちをしていたか私たちが一番よく知っている。それにそもそもさとこちゃんはリカちゃんと2人で仲良く暮らしていた。それを無理やり連れ戻して友達の誰にも会わせず先生にすら会わせないなんておかしいと思う。
Instead of Rena letting her emotions speak for her when she was normally was so quiet, demonstrated most of all how dire the situation was. Rena brought an intensity to this that I couldn't, since I often yelled and shouted about things. Very important point here. If you are the kind of person who, like, shouts and raises your voice at everything, people just don't listen to you. But if you do it that, like, you're calm, people will listen to you when you're angry. If you've ever been to class and there's, like, that one quiet kid, and the one time they get angry, people notice. People take them seriously at that moment. I can't confirm no one listens to you.
俺たちはこの四角い一辺が8メートルもない狭い部屋で春夏秋冬のすべてを過ごし、家族と言っても差し支えない時間を共に過ごしている。共に学んだ、共に遊んだ、共に飯を食い、時には喧嘩をしたりした。
Yeah, you do tend to get loud, especially when you're frustrated at something, which is not uncommon of a thing.
過ごす時間は劣っても、その濃密な関係は
Sometimes it can be not great, but everyone has their moments when they get loud and act that way. Hello, Avier, how's it going?
そんな第二の家族の危機を俺たちは見過ごせるのか?
Stupid ads.
見過ごせる、見殺せるってやつは挙手をしてみろ。いないな。いるわけないんだ。サトコを見殺しにするな。助けるんだ、俺たちが。
That's good. Yeah. Mutter, 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 mutter. Class was filled with commotion. It was exactly what I was looking for. The louder I talked, the louder my classmates got. They were getting all fired up. The more I let my true color show, the greater everyone's emotions became as well. I would say maybe one day Twitch will remove ads, but it seems like they're going in completely the opposite direction. Hello and welcome, how are you doing? I love how Samus has repeated the hi as if the ad means you can't read chat. That would be horrible if when ads happen you can't read chat. I haven't been fully up to date on all the stuff that's going on, but it looks like they're headed in the opposite direction where they plan on actually adding more ads. But also, Twitch has, in my opinion, Twitch has never been fully open about like their ads. Like on my channel, I have pre-roll ads disabled, everything like disabled and set to the like longest possible setting. So like the longest time between ads and stuff, if for some reason they were to ignore it. And they still have ads, so I mean, there we go. Twitch is a platform. Yeah. Platforms gotta make their money. But, like all things like this, it's a balancing act of how, if I take more money from people, fewer people will want to use the platform. If I charge less money, more people will want to use the platform. And there's that, got your bell curve of how much money can I charge and how many users there are. And there's that sweet point in the middle of this price will get this many users, which equals maximum profit. Don't disable... Is that really how it works? Twitch needs to be clearer on this kind of stuff.
に従ってちゃんとルールにのっとって戦おうってんだ。
Thank you for that, Sam. So I'm going to make a note right now in my little notepad. I mean, of course they don't tell you about it. Yeah, I did know that you can temporarily disable it by running an ad yourself. So I feel like I've shared this once before, but there's a guy I followed. I still follow him, but he hasn't been streaming much. His name is Kazgam, CAZGAM. He's a City Skylines mainly streamer, and he set up a bunch of different like City Skylines community events. Cities in the Snap is one of them, and I know he set up other like City Skylines challenges. So he was in charge of a city, like a big community City Skylines channel at one point, averaging, I think he was saying, averaging about 100 viewers, streaming, whatever it was, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, I think it was kind of like one of those community ones where different people could stream to it. And they ran literally the maximum number of ads physically could, which was, I think at the time, like a 2 or 3 minute ad every half hour or something like that, plus pre-roll. And he said with all of that, with all those ads they ran, so every stream you're running, what's that? Pre-roll plus one every hour would probably be, let's call it 8 times 3, 24 minutes of ads every day, 5 days a week. So that's 120 minutes of ads a week. So 2 hours of ads a week to 100 viewers. So that's, what are we up to? 12,000? If I'm doing my math right. Yeah, 12,000 viewed ads a week. And he said over the course of a month, they would make like $2, something like that. It's just not worth it. It's like, even if you were, that's at like partner levels, running daily as many possible ads as you can, you're making like $2 a month. In fairness, this was a while back. This was, when I heard about this was at least pre-COVID, so at least like 2.5, 3 years ago. And he was talking about it as it was in the past. So it was probably at least 4 or 5 plus years ago. So definitely a lot could have and has changed on Twitch at the time. But still, I can't imagine, like, even if let's say Twitch doubled the amount of money they gave you, then you're getting $4 whole a month. Still not worth it to me.
裏技ってのは奇襲的で効果がありそうに感じるが、そんなのはびっくり箱なんかと同じ安っぽいもんだ。本当の成功法ってのはな、何でもぶち抜くぞ。
Yes. Yeah, so I haven't been following all this, but Twitch is unofficially, like, these aren't set in stone, but like Twitch has officially said them, but they're not like, here's what it'll be. So what they've said is they do want to encourage ads for partners, and they were talking about having tiers of partner levels. So you have, like, currently you have, you know, nothing unaffiliated, affiliated partner, and some of the top level partners have negotiated directly with Twitch to have better cuts of money from subs, bits, so on. I think the average partner is getting 50%, and people have negotiated up to 70%. I think that's what I've read online. Check out, crap, what's his name? Debussy, I think that's his name, on Twitch and Twitter. Chris Debussy, I want to say is his name. Let me quickly Google. Debussy. maybe it's not Chris. Debussy. Man, I cannot find him. I'm sure if I just refresh Twitter, I can find him by scrolling for all of like 3 seconds. Zach Bussey. There we go. Zach Bussey. Bussey, Bussey. Bussey. He is the person I follow for just all things Twitch. So yeah, so what they're currently talking about is removing those exclusive contracts. Yes, I did just ASL his name. My ASL is not great. I took a 6-week course on it 3 or so years ago. I can still fingerspell most things. So whenever I'm like spelling something out, I do try to fingerspell it at the same time, both in case that helps viewers. I don't know if it does, but also just for me to help remember it. But yeah, so they're going to remove those exclusive contracts that some partners have, and instead make tiers of partners. So you might have like level, whatever, tier 1 partners, you get a 50% cut, tier 2 partners, you get a 60, tier 3, you get 70, and so on. What the conditions are for that, unclear. I'm guessing it would have to be another follower-viewer requirement, maybe viewing time. Yeah, it would be expanding affiliate program. Basically, you'd have levels of it. I'm not sure what like the difference would be between like affiliate and partner in terms of like cash payouts and stuff. Again, a lot of this is pretty unclear. They'd also talked about a different pricing model where they would give people more money. This is a separate issue, but they were looking at instead of having bits, having just like Twitch bucks or whatever they call it, which would basically just be like a straight, PayPal or credit card, whatever, cash donation. But and it would be 70% instead of the 50%, which is bits are currently if you're giving someone 1 bit, it's 1 US cent, but it costs you approximately 2 cents to buy. So essentially Twitch gets a 50% cut and the streamer gets a 50% cut. Approximately, obviously, this changes based on your region and how many you buy at once. If you buy on mobile versus app versus web, there's a bunch of these things. So on like the head level, it looked fine, where it was like, okay, you're going from 50 to 70%, but the fine print was 70% before fees. So if you're doing like PayPal gets a cut of it. If you're doing currency conversion from, let's say, Canadian to US or Canadian to Euro or whatever, that's going to be a cut. And they had like a whole spreadsheet breakdown, and it turned out to be, I think it was almost identical, if not worse. Yeah, and there's definitely been other things where people have requested dropping the requirements for the affiliate program, which I don't really see a whole lot of an issue with that. To me, the affiliate program is just to make sure that someone who's trying to troll doesn't have access to all of these features of Twitch. Because otherwise you could, if it was just, say, just followers and stream time, but not average viewers, you could just make a bunch of bots, follow bot yourself, and then stream a certain number of hours. And I guess technically you could also still have multiple devices on different IP addresses that are all bots watching your own stream. That's a pretty big setup to just get to that point. Yeah, that's a lot of effort to go to. For most people I talk to, the issue for them... Sherb! Hello! How is everyone? Thank you for the raid. We're currently talking about your mutual friend Zach Boosie about all the wonderful stuff he posts on Twitter and how he is the only way I know anything that's going on in Twitch. But hello, how is everyone? How is talking with Sherb? I'm sure she's still like half an hour behind chat. Yeah, besides talking about the man to follow on Twitter, Zach Boosie, for all of Twitch information, we're currently playing Higurashi. It's a Japanese visual novel set in 1983. Before we get back into it, this game has some pretty mature themes. I want to make sure all of our raiders are aware of all of the potential trigger warnings in this game. And if for any reason any of these things is something that makes you feel uncomfortable, by all means, please find someplace that will make you feel more comfortable today. This game includes themes such as death, torture, dismemberment, blood, gore, body horror, suicide, rape, child abuse, any of those things against a minor. If you missed any of those and want clarification, feel free to ask or check down below in the description. I have a list of all the potential trigger warnings you may see. In particular, this game, we're smack dab in the middle of a child abuse case of a child who has been essentially kidnapped by their uncle and being forced to stay home and physically, emotionally, and verbally assaulted. So there's your warning that it's some pretty deep stuff. I know it's not for everyone. Again, I won't be offended if anyone feels that's not for them and wants to find some place that is more comfortable for them this evening. Thank you again, Sherb, for the raid. Who have we got here? Permasim for Zach. Yeah. I was literally just like pulling up on Twitter. We were talking about we started talking about ads, and so we were talking about some of the potential new stuff that's been leaked. That's officially from Twitch, but not. Is my mic volume different between scenes? Is it really? Let me check. Is it? So in this scene, is it higher or lower? Just out of curiosity. So we have this scene, and then we have this scene. It's softer. Okay, thank you for that. I will take a look at that after. Full screen mic is softer, question mark. Thank you for that. I'll take a look at it because the volume on my side is the same. Is the scene too loud? Is the softer one too soft, or is this scene too loud? And yes, we were talking about the potential for splitting partner into different tiers, and given that you're accustomed to this scene, the other scene is too soft. Okay, thank you for that, Samus. I will definitely take a look at that afterwards. Maybe I didn't. I'll have to check. My guess is that I applied some mic filters to this one that didn't get pushed to the other one. But I'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, and then we were talking about they were doing some testing on replacing bits with like an in-stream Twitch box. I don't know if there's an official name for it. And how that basically worked out to being almost exactly the same, because it went from being like 50% to 70%, but 70% before fees, and then if like whatever PayPal takes a fee and then currency conversion takes a fee, it actually worked out to being the same. So yeah, that's what we were talking about. For actual in-game, basically where we are is our friend and classmate, like I said, has been kidnapped by our uncle, who is technically her legal guardian, but went away for a year to do crime, like actual crime, and then came back and was like, you know what, come back and live with me because I want someone to cook and clean and do all the stuff, and you're not allowed to go to school anymore. So us and our friends and our teacher are like, that's child abuse, you can't be doing that. And now we're stuck in the bureaucracy of, how do you get a child out of child abuse when no one believes you? There's like a process that takes time, and the child appears to be safe for now. So yeah, What Samus says, what are you going to show them? The act of spending bits is called cheering. Like, bits are the currency, and then cheering is the act of spending said currency. At least for when they were testing it on certain streams, like I think they would limit it to like 3 different countries, 3 different markets. For the ones they were testing, they fully disabled bits in those people's streams. I'm pretty sure they had the opportunity to opt out if they wanted to, that they weren't stuck in this situation. But who knows? And there's a lot of questions that brings up, like, if you've got bits in the bank, what happens to those? Can you still have them? Like, can you still use them? Are they just kind of... I assume either 1, they would have to refund you on them, or 2, they would have to honor them and let you spend them until such a point in time where they're like, hey, we're going to support bits. You know, end of life is going to be in, whatever, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that time frame is, and give you a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to follow everything Zach says, but I haven't clicked into every link, I haven't watched every video. I just try and, at the very least, just read what he's saying, and if I have questions, I go through the comments, and usually someone, like in the first 2-3 comments, is asked the same question. Twitch needs a competitor. Funny you should say that. Like, literally, I don't know where I was, Facebook or Twitter, something, an ad came up for, as a promoted content, for a different one that's like, hey, we only take 20% of your money. We're the good guys. So, yeah, there's definitely other markets. And we're getting to the point where... Oh, actually, one of the other things that I think Zach had brought up is they were doing away with the... technically, in your Twitch agreement, you're only allowed to stream to Twitch. Multi-streaming to like YouTube and other platforms is technically against your contract, apparently. And as part of this, they would be removing that, allowing you to then legally, according to your Twitch contract, branch out to YouTube, Facebook, whatever other streaming platforms you wanted to do. Cheers, it's a 1-step unlike in-game currency where you convert cash. Yeah, it's the 1 step, and the conversion happens as part of that step. So you don't have that converted into bits and then spend the bits. It does the conversion as it gives it. That was my understanding, at least. And obviously, all these things can change. There's definitely opportunity for all of these things to change. But yeah, so back to the game. So we're currently trying to convince all of our classmates that they should come with us to bother the child protective custody people to be like, hey, take us seriously, our friend's in trouble, you should do something about it.
空手なんかでも最も威力があるのは正拳突きだって聞いたことがある。愚直でシンプルな正攻法が最も威力があるのは力学をちょいと考えれば当然のことなんだよね。
Yeah, we were talking about this. There's definitely that sweet spot of how much money can I suck out of people versus how many people will join my platform. If you suck more money, fewer people use your platform. If you suck less, more people use your platform. And there's a sweet spot where you can suck the most money out of the most number of people and make the most profit. There's not many good options, and if you're migrating to something else, you're losing a bunch of stuff. You're losing followers who aren't going to migrate to you. You're losing notoriety on that platform. Although potentially, if you're making it into that platform first, if you're one of the first comers, you have it. There's a risk of gaining your notoriety there. But if they don't support, say, like your Twitch integrations, if you have channel alerts, bit alerts, like any of these kinds of things, if your OBS doesn't stream to them, you have to like set up something else. There's a whole bunch of things to consider. That's potentially a whole lot of time, a whole lot of money potentially, if you need to rebrand stuff, if you need to create new assets, if you need to hire people for it. There's a lot of stuff to consider doing that.
正面から堂々と乗り込んで倒す。
倒すって誰かと喧嘩をする
We're fighting against bureaucracy, kid.
いいことを言うな、岡村君。
And Twitch. We're now fighting against Twitch, too.
確かにこいつは喧嘩だ。だがな、殴り合おうってんじゃないぞ。
Yeah, and I would expect any of the major platforms, like in particular OBS and Slobs, would cover almost any major streaming platform. Obviously, you can't cover all of them. Like if there's new small ones coming up, it's not worth the time and effort to develop your system for it. You can just make your system as modular as possible to try and add in different integrations. But same thing, OBS, Slobs, like these are all companies as well. They all also want your money. They want your business. They want, you to use their platform so you can use their integrations, buy their, branded stream templates or use their built-in, alert stuff that takes money. All of it's going to use it. OBS Studios is FOSS. Sorry, what does FOSS stand for? Something open source software? Free open source software? Yeah, they don't make money off of using the software. Oh, I actually guessed it. I'm proud of myself. They don't make money off of you using their software. But what they make money off of is you using other stuff integrated with it. Sadly, I think open source software is great. People who make open source software are amazing people. However, in a lot of the business work I do, people absolutely hate free open source software. Unless it's something and we're getting super technically, like node modules or something. People want the security of a trusted name, unless you're one of those people who doesn't like the big brand names. You don't like, your Google, your Amazon, these names, and then you're trying to find the least evil corporation that you can put your money into. Because if you look at the big corporations, and I know we're getting super technical here, for hosting software, we almost always use Amazon, AWS Web Services, Amazon Web Services. It's by far, for us at least, the easiest thing to do. But we have a lot of clients who are like, I don't like Amazon. They're big business. They treat people poorly at times. They do people dirty. I don't want to be supporting them. I want to be supporting smaller businesses, smaller teams. Yeah, security of 1,000 people reviewing the code at all times. That is good. That is definitely good. If you still have the active community behind that, you definitely see communities that are good. They have a good piece of software, but eventually die out. And if it's something major like a Linux distribution, probably not going to happen. Linux is probably going to live on until the end of time. But if you have a smaller library, definitely it's at some point it could be abandoned, it could be forked, it could go a couple different ways. Yes, there are a lot of ups to FOSS communities though. Also, didn't you say you were gonna show people something cool? Did I miss the cool thing? Am I too old to get the cool inside jokes now? Besides, preventing her from going to school is already child abuse. Check this out, kids. This is a brochure that Mion brought from the Child Consultation Centre. It's written clearly in here. Keeping a child away from school is abuse. On top of that, her uncle left Sadako on her own for a year. That's considered neglect. Neglect also counts as abuse. However, the Child Consultation Centre didn't take that into consideration. They ignored the fact that he neglected her for 1 year. They didn't believe that she hasn't come to school because she's sick. Yeah, so like I said, I think OBS only makes their money from people who buy into completely optional, like, third-party bits that... Maybe bits is the wrong word to use on Twitch. Third-party applications that they design. Similar to, like, Streamlab Elements, like, any of these kinds of ones that has reintegration. Oh, I guess they could also sell your data. They're probably data mining all of us right now. That could be it. Because think of, in theory, OBS, what do they know? They know they could save all my streams, they could save my face. They now have my face. There you go. All the people in your channel. I haven't looked into their GitHub. It depends if they're hiding it or not. I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about their GitHub. They could just be nice guys, but I'm a cynic. I just assume that if there's something that's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. There's something going on there. I've been looking a bit into some of the Linux problems you're facing. Yeah, and I'm sure the major consumer is Windows. I've yet to hear people badmouth OBS other than sometimes it can be a bit not user-friendly, that it's not necessarily designed around a good user experience, and that's why like people just starting off might use Slogs or something that has a bit better user experience, but it's not bad. I've yet to hear anyone say like they're evil, that they're at least no one's found that they're data mining us yet. But they could be. They conclude that Sadako is not being abused because she had no obvious injuries at that point. What do all of you think?
これは明白な問題です。たとえ北条はそう言っていなくとも、問題が起きていないという根拠にはなり得ません。
But also, I feel like I'm kind of biased on the situation because I personally use OBS. I'd like to think I'm supporting a good guy, so I'm probably biased in this fact that I assume that what I'm using is good because I'm using it, and I like to think I'm not bad. Probably a bias in there somewhere.
僕もそう思います。どうしてこれで虐待だと認定されないんですか？
ミオンから聞いた内部の情報によると、虐待かどうかを判断するには2日3日程度の時間では足りないって言うんだ。
They release OBS Studios on Steam for Windows only.
恒常的に続いて初めてそうだと認定するものらしい。
You gotta target the biggest user base first, which, good or bad, depending on your point of view, is almost assuredly Windows. Mac is probably second. Actually, let's Google. What is the breakdown of operating system? It's been a while since I've looked at this. Computers by operating system. And obviously this doesn't necessarily scale to streamers. There's going to be a different subset of that. But let's see if we can find the overall breakdown of share. Okay. Microsoft Windows for personal computer operating system. So this doesn't include, based on my interpretation of this wouldn't include business because it's personal. It's not the business one, but I don't know. I could be wrong on that. Windows is 76.45%. Mac OS, which is Apple's, is 17.72%. And all the varieties of Linux together are collectively in third place at 1.73%. And that's PC version stuff. For mobile, Android is 72%. This data is all from 2020, by the way, so obviously it could have changed in the past couple of years. Apple iOS for mobile is 10.3%. And all other operating systems are 0.3%, which include like Windows or any other mobile OS. This is a lot of low-level objects. Let's recompile. And captures don't work because Windows can detect game versus software while Linux can't. Yeah. So there's pieces like that. It probably also depends on. It's an open source software, so it's also going to prioritize who is writing the code for this software. Usually, people writing software, you design it for what you're using, what the collective group is using, which is probably a similar breakdown of a lot of Windows, then Mac, then Linux. Which probably means Windows is number one on the priority list, then Mac, and Linux is in a distant third. Of course, it also depends on, you've brought up some good points about what things are easier. So if Windows already has some of these features built in, that makes it easier for them to develop. And usually you want to start by developing the easiest possible thing. You start off small, you build the smallest, but also most viable business product first, which in this case all around sounds like Windows, because it has the highest user base and it has built-in features that other operating systems don't. Right there, like, just based on what we read, that's probably about 3/4 of market share users, and let's say that extends to streamers. That being said, Samus is, and I probably don't ask people this, you are the only person I know who streams on Linux. I'm sure there are other people who do, I've just never asked that. I assume everyone streams on Windows unless I'm told otherwise, and I have heard some people stream on Mac. I do hear that. I haven't heard anyone else talk about Linux. So yeah, that's what I imagine is happening there. It's the same reason when I'm developing websites, I check things in Chrome, because that's what I use. That's what a lot of clients use. Firefox is next. Firefox is like my backup if Chrome is being dumb and I don't want to change all my cookie preferences or my ad blockers. I'll open Firefox. And then, because some clients have people who are still on Internet Explorer and Edge, that's the third, although some clients prioritize that higher. Any other browser, I usually don't care about, except sometimes Safari. Especially if it's a mobile one, then sometimes Safari is used more. But yeah, you build for what you use first. Usually don't give a crap if someone's like, oh, I use whatever, Opera GX, and you're like, I don't care. I really don't. Oh yes, I'm sure the user base will go up, both because of what you mentioned, also because of what we talked about with open source software and people trying to get away from larger corporations. Because if you're not a fan of large corporations, you probably don't like Windows, you probably don't like Apple. What does that leave you with? Probably Linux. And as technology advances, typically we make older things easier and easier to use. We make them more accessible. There's more documentation. More people have run into issues that you may have encountered, so it's easier to find solutions. Operating system or software people likely patch a bunch of these problems because they want users to stay. They want users to use their system. If users go away, you're losing money, you're losing statistics, you're losing, all these things where if Microsoft can say, we own 75% of share of users, right there, most applications are going to prioritize working on Windows before working on Mac. They're going to focus on Windows support, fixing Windows-specific bugs. All of that is going to happen first because that's their biggest market base. Because unless you are doing things out of the kindness of your heart, and if you believe a corporation's doing that, they're not. They're going to follow the money.
去年のサトコがどういう状況だったかが理解できていないんだ。
Now, I feel like every time Windows puts out an update, people complain about it. People just don't like change. Regardless of whether it's good or bad, people in general just don't like change. And they will fight it all the time. Yeah, and Microsoft does have a pretty poor track record of pushing updates, of things that just straight out break everything. I was one of those people that they pushed out, Windows 10 to Windows 10.1, fully locked my computer, and I had to go in and undo their updates because literally I could not log into my computer. What is Valve doing? I'm not super up to date on what Valve is currently working on. I must say that what do they call it? Their version of the Switch. It's a good idea. The fact that you can play Steam games basically on a Switch, it's only going to do good things for them. Steam Deck, thank you. That's going to... which runs on Arch Linux. There you go. If that's the case, if it's running on Linux, and if people are making their games run on the Steam Deck, that might push Linux into second for... I assume the order of games goes Windows, then Mac, then Linux for support. This is just solely my opinion pulled out of the air. I have no statistics whatever to support it. But if making your game work on Steam Deck, which runs on Arch Linux, means that you can also run it on Arch Linux, just regular computer version, you might see a vast increase of games which then support Linux as a platform you can play off of.
だから様子見なんてのんびりしたことが言えるんだ。ならばどうする、富田君。
はい。問題となるのは生活相談所側の認識の甘さだと思います。これについて事情をよく知る人間が説明する必要があると思います。
児童相談所の人が慎重に対応したいというのは平均的に見たら普通の対応なのかもしれない。でもそれは
Valve, who chase money, keep putting out ridiculous sales. Yeah. So from what I remember, Steam and Valve take a 30% cut of every game purchase that you make. So if the game costs, just for easy math, $10, actually let's make this even easier, $1, because now we're talking percentages, 100% $1. 30% goes to Steam for, hosting the platform, dealing with all the, financial stuff. They're basically your bank, all of that stuff. Hosting reviews, comment boards, discussions, trade, all of that stuff, 30% cut. 70% goes to the game developer, and the game developer themselves may have may have their own breakdowns of like our investors take half or whatever, but that's up to them. That's completely on them. And that's all right cut. And from what I read online, because I read at one point, I was curious. Like Steam has a lot of sales. There's a bunch of sales going on right now. In fact, with a lot of JRPG sales that I'm probably going to look at this weekend. Wink, wink. And if people want recommendations, I can give you recommendations from that. I can give you recommendations of stuff that's under $10 right now. If you want to pick up a game that will take you like minimum 40 hours for like $6, that can be arranged. But I was looking up, when Twitch has these sales, what happens? Where does the cut go? So a couple things I read online, and obviously this was a couple years back, so things may have changed. Take it with a grain of salt. Take all information you hear online with a grain of salt and validate it yourselves. Twitch does not, or not Twitch. Wow, we were talking about Twitch too long. Steam does not enforce anyone to have a sale. All sales, the game developer or studio or producer, I don't actually know, it probably depends in different cases who has the authority of it. Only they can agree to go on a sale. They get to set their own sale prices, which is why you might see sometimes, you have a sale and some things are like 80% off and some things are 10% off. They get to set their own prices, and that cut is even for everyone. So if you have a game that's $1 and you're putting it on a 50% cut to 50 cents, it's still, after that, 30% goes to Twitch, 70% goes to the game developer, so the sale price is split evenly. You're still doing the after sale price is then split 30-70. That's what I read. Yes, so I have thoughts about Epic. So, Epic does take a lower cut. If your whole thing is looking at the money aspect of it, from a developer side, Epic takes a lower cut. And they even, I think is it 25%? And they have lower ones if like you exclusively do with Epic. If you build with, I don't know if it was Unity or Real Engine. There was a certain one, or if you built it with the engine they liked, Unreal or Unity, I can't remember which one it was, built it with their specific engine and did it exclusively, so you're not doing it through Steam, you're not doing it through itch.io, you're not doing it through GOG, like none of the others. I think it was cut down to 20%. Unreal Engine, thank you. I think it was cut down to like 20%. So there's that. Yes, Steam has features. So that's one of the things, is Steam, you're paying for all this extra stuff. The workshop of Steam is fantastic. You have some wonderful communities. My favorite one right now is, and I don't even know if we're playing this game anymore. We're just talking at this point. Sherb invaded and now we're just talking. She's made this a just talking stream. Yeah, my favorite one right now, Escape Simulator. I don't know if that one's on sale. I bought it for like $12. It has a fantastic workshop community. I liken it to, if you're looking at, what's that one Mim played? A Hat in Time. A Hat in Time also has a fantastic modding community. But yeah, right now, Escape Simulator. If you like escape rooms, if you like logic puzzles, if you like doing that with friends, I don't actually know how many people you can have at once. I've personally tried up to 4 people. I can't remember if that's the max. I feel like you can go a bit higher, but I don't recall. They have daily, like the best ones released daily. They have the best ones voted on monthly. They're actively putting out new ways that people can develop for their workshop. Their recent update included like new logic things, new like buttons, switches, and like how you could set new and different puzzles, and just allowing creators to add more and different puzzles to their escape rooms. I don't mind derailing. I don't mind derailing if that's what people want to hear. And considering, I don't know, it's just you and me, and Sherb seems to enjoy it. as long as people enjoy it, I don't care if we focus on the game or not. As long as people are having a good time, I am having a good time discussing this. I had something I wanted to say about Epic. My problem with Epic, and there's been a lot of stuff that's gone into Epic. In particular, there were certain groups who had perhaps racist comments about Epic having too close ties with China and data mining. Well, there were some questionable security choices. I believe that all of those were addressed, and people looked into it and were like, no, people are overreacting. It's not nearly at the level that they thought it was. There was definitely some level of racism going on there. The problem I have with Epic is how they've treated their developers, particularly Fortnite. Fortnite being like Epic's probably biggest game. A lot of developers have come out saying things like, we were being paid 40 hours a week. We were working 80 to 100 hours a week unpaid, which isn't necessarily uncommon in video game circles. Video game developers at large companies often drive their workers into the ground, run long hours, weekends. It's not uncommon to hear the last 3 months before a game gets released, people are working 80, 100-hour weeks. It's with no extra pay, just you got to do it, you got to put in the time, or you lose your job. So it's not uncommon. That's not just an Epic thing. But Epic consistently had people coming out about this, and people saying, I felt like I couldn't take vacations, because if I take vacation, if I'm gone, let's say 2-3 weeks, all my work just gets pushed onto someone else on the team who's already doing 80 to 100 hours a week. Now they have to do, I don't even know how many hours are in a week, how many physical hours there are in a week, but it's going on some other people. They have to pick up the quote-unquote slack because I'm away. Or just straight up, people would take a 1-month vacation or whatever and just straight up be fired. Yeah. So that's my beef with Epic. And I've heard people say like, oh, I play Epic, but I only take the free games. I'm only taking money from them. And if you use Epic, I'm not going to judge you. You know, do whatever you feel is appropriate. It's like all things, look into the corporations you're using, make an informed decision. You know, do your research on all these things. I don't actually remember when Fortnite was a 3D zombie tower defense building game. Yeah. Those are my thoughts on Epic. I've stayed away from Epic because of that. That's my personal reasons. Like I said, pick whatever you want. Just make sure you're making an informed decision about what you are picking. I think that's all I have to say about Epic. So, wow, we've been talking so long, my mouse went to sleep. So, I guess we were having a good time then.
おじさんは去年もさとこちゃんをいじめてた。おばさんとの夫婦喧嘩の八つ当たりをしていた。しかもそのおばさんが死んだ後はたった一人残されたさとこちゃんを放り出して蒸発してしまった。しかもだ、そいつは沖宮の別宅に転がり込むためだったとの情報をキャッチしてるんだよ。
So Fortnite was originally that PUBG took off. Yeah, Battle Royale really took off after that. Got popular overnight, Epic bought out the indie team, rebranded the original game to Fortnite World, and ultimately banned the original premise for money. Yeah, I'm not surprised. This is actually a thing that happens all the time, where something small gets big, gets bought out, and then completely changes. If you've ever seen like an older game, particularly I've heard this a lot of old MMO RPGs that get bought out, they had good solid content, become like freemium, that's super pay to win, and then just everyone leaves. Yeah, I don't hate Fortnite because it's popular. I don't hate Fortnite. Like, I don't hate Fortnite. It's not my thing. I tried Apex for a little bit, but it's not my thing. I don't like playing with people. I play games to get away from people. I don't want to come and be around people. But yeah, nothing against Fortnite. It's just around how the people working on it have said the company has acted towards them. Your brother was a beta tester on it. I'd be curious to hear a bit more about that. Yeah, like in the past 3 years, I'm trying to think, what stuff have I done multiplayer online where I actually played with random people that weren't friends? Overwatch is the only thing that comes to mind. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, even when I played a bit of Dungeons and Dragons online. Maybe that was more 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't talk to anyone. Didn't deal with global chat. Yeah, people are like, "Hey, you're new, join our guild." I'm like, "No, I just want to play my game. Just leave me be." Yeah, whichever you prefer, Samus, because I know it's about 9 o'clock. Wait, sure. How late is it for you? Are you 5 or 6 hours ahead? Is it what? 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.? Also, I love the fact that we've been having like a very high energy conversation, and this music and the game has backed me up on this. That they're having like a serious conversation. Just theirs is about child abuses and ours is about corporations, so theirs probably matters more, and I'm just taking all the wind out of everything I've just felt. Jeez, making these kids feel bad, like, hey kids, you ever wanted to do something meaningful? Now's your chance. Everything else you've done had no meaning. Everything you're gonna do after this, it'll have no meaning too. If you don't help us, you're not our friends. I think we're just making a cult.
全火力を受け持つ。ただ俺たちの背中を守ってくれればいい。それだけじゃ我慢がならなければ吠えろ。木南沢文庫のスピリッツってやつを思い知らせてやれ。
前原君、これは。
Teacher, we're not making a cult, I promise. Chie-sensei looked into the classroom, the commotion having attracted her attention. She's tried to step inside the class. Someone behind her stopped her.
校長先生。
千恵先生、お茶が飲みたいですな。入れてはくれませんかな。
It was a clear display of his intent not to disrupt Keiichi's speech.
いいんですか？クラスには小さな子供もたくさんいます。もしもみんなで沖宮の相談所に押しかけようなんてことになったら、保護者の方に。
知恵。
古出さん。
Rika, you're still like the only person to just like talk back to their teacher and get absolutely nothing for it.
みんなが聡子を助けるために頑張ろうとしてくれているのです。私は無力だから。みんなの力を借りないと何もできない。でもそれを阻止しようとする知恵を食い止めるくらいはできる。
She had never seen Rika staring at her with an expression like that. She was surprised to see Rika looking so
何を
determined.
止める理由があるというのか。
校長先生。
大いに結構。やれるところまでやってみなさい。それで責任を求められるなら、不詳この海枝が全て責任を取る。
The principal pounded his own chest. Chie-sensei couldn't object any longer.
わかりました。くれぐれも怪我人など出さないように。ルールとマナーを絶対に守ること。
We sure didn't mind our manners yesterday.
二人ともありがとうなのです。
千恵先生、よく思いとどまりましたな。
この年をして生徒には教えられることばかりです。よし、覚悟を決めました。教え子は私の娘も同じ。娘をかばわぬ母はなし。
よし、みんな今日の学校が終わったら各自速攻で帰宅し、自転車で沖宮の図書館に集合だ。そこの1階奥が相談所になっている。
お待ちなさい。
知恵先生。
先生、まさか俺たちを止めるつもりですか？
とんでもない。あなたたちの意志の強さはよくわかりました。社会のルールにちゃんとのっとって戦うなら、先生もみんなを支持します。皆さんがちゃんとお行儀よくするか、先生も同行します。よろしいですね。
Alright, alright. Here we go, here we go. We're all getting fired up. Was that during class? Do we just like skip math class and just yell at kids? We headed for the library as soon as we got back home from school. I'd expected that few kids wouldn't show up, but surprisingly, everyone came along. I could tell just how driven they were. It was also encouraging to have Chie-sensei there with us. I have to admit, I've been feeling a bit guilty for dragging everyone to the consultation center. As long as Chie-sensei was with us, I didn't need to feel that guilt. Adults are for handling guilt, not children.
前原さん、窓口までお越しください。
はい、前原です。
今日はどういったご用件でしょうか？
相談表に書いた通りです。北条聡子の保護に緊急性があることを陳情に来ました。
何人でお越しですか？皆さんどういったご関係でしょうか？
聡子のクラスメート全員と引率教師です。
相談室がそんなに
Barely fit 5 people yesterday.
できれば代表の方だけでお願いしたいのですが。
なら会議室とかの広い部屋を用意したらどうですか？部屋に合わせるんじゃなくて私たちに合わせるべきだと思います。
そのお待ちください。
The receptionist seemed troubled. Told us to head back to our seats and started to make a phone call to someone. I'm surprised they have 27
や
seats.
りますね。今のはプロの私でも絶妙だと思うタイミングの脅しでした。
それって多分褒め言葉じゃない。
Ren is good at reading other people's minds. Sometimes she can use that talent against the enemy to intimidate them. A strange atmosphere permeated the office. This has been the first time a whole class had visited on behalf of one child. It was as though we were here for a school trip.
どうもどうも。係長の原山と申します。
That'd be an interesting school trip, actually. Because it could be like, the face of it could be showing kids how a government office works. But also, you could actually be just looking to see if any of the children, after being there, speak up like, hey, I'm actually being abused at home, I just didn't realize I could come to anyone, or that's what it was, or I just didn't have the opportunity before. That'd be interesting, actually. You decided to talk about the Fortnite worlds. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I get the not wanting to make public accusations. So yeah, feel free to... I assume that was you. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. So thank you, Sam says. I look forward to hearing about it.
どうぞ皆さん、おかけください。
本日はご多忙の中押しかけさせていただき申し訳ひなみ沢文庫の千恵と申します。よろしくお願いいたします。
They were treating us so differently now that we had 5 times as many kids, plus 1 adult. It's probably the adult that matters. Instead of that small consultation room, they took us to a big meeting hall. Top of that, the manager's there alongside the man from yesterday.
代表の前原くんに譲ります。
Jason, he sat down at the far end of the table. He was just here to look after us. Besides, like I'd said, we were the ones who were going to fight. It was fine if Chi since he just stayed there and watched us quietly.
代表の前原圭一です。よろしくお願いします。
ですね。昨日、前原さんとお友達の方5人がお見えになって、北条聡子さんの件で貴重なご意見を受けたまわったとのお話は聞かせていただいております。本日はそれとは別のお話でしょうか。
I hadn't expected that they would start the conversation. What were they thinking?
なんだか曖昧で気持ち悪い。自分たちに非があるのかないのか分かりかねてて、出方を探ってるみたいだね。
ケイちゃん、ここは今日来た理由を強めに言って、非が向こうにあることをアピールすべきです。
Otherwise, Shion will bite their faces off by the look of it. My friends were analyzing the situation behind me. Felt like I was having a meeting with the president of a foreign country. Actually, that wasn't far from the truth. I was sort of the prime minister. I was representing the whole class. I needed to be polite, but stern.
よし、この角度から攻めるか。ケイちゃん、こんな感じで言って。ね。
Mion gave me her attack plan. This really is how Mion operates best. Fortnite Saved the World, the final release after Fortnite was taken, was released as a playable game back in 2017. It was massively different from the promised release. Okay, yeah. If she's weak on defense, then I can bear the brunt with impudence. While Mion issues perfect orders from behind. I took my friend's analysis and advice in consideration and calmly opened my mouth.
いえ、その前にそれを確認させてください。今日私たちが来たのは、昨日お話がしっかり伝わっているかどうかを確認したかったのです。申し訳ございませんが、昨日私たちがお話しした内容を把握されているかお教えください。
Yeah, no one wants something to come out that's not what they were promised or what they were expecting. Crap, what was the name of that one where they're like, it came out but it was mobile only, and they're like, you have phones, don't you? And just everyone just hated it. Is that World of Warcraft? Yeah. No, not World of Warcraft. Crap. Diablo. That's the one that I was thinking. I can't remember if that was the one for certain. That's the one that I think it was. And that was massively different than everyone was hoping it would be. It became quiet for a second. Might have been only a short time. The sounds felt much longer than that. I could see the manager's expression turning serious. He thought he was just dealing with a social studies class, but suddenly his response changed to that of one dealing with a protest group of local citizens.
一時保護等を受けるべき辛い事情にあり、その対応を急ぐべきであるとの訴えがあったものと認識しております。その際、当方の職員から決して傍観ではなく、現在対応を協議中である旨を説明させていただいたと思います。
You know what it's like? If you've ever played a mobile game that has a crap ton of ads, and the ads, you watch the ads and you're like, oh, this game actually kind of looks cool. I'll try it. And the ad gameplay and the actual game gameplay are nothing alike. Like the ad is like, oh, you'll be like running around and doing this, and like your character can move around on a map and pick up stuff, and like you fetch quests and stuff. And the actual game is just like you tap on stuff, you click button, you tap to go to another place, and you click. I don't even know what mobile ads are. I don't know who's designing that, but whatever they're having, I want to have that too.
ですね。去年の時点では北条哲平氏が虐待を行っていたという情報は当方では確認しておりません。
Mutter, mutter, mutter.
はあ？去年のあんたたちは何をやってたんですか？おじおば夫婦で共にいじめてたんです。まさかおばだけがいじめてたって認識じゃないですよね。
Disclaimer: game is best experience with legal recreational marijuana.
本来なら個人情報なので申し上げられないことですが、皆さんには特別にお話しします。去年の件では、おばの玉江氏と里子さんにトラブルがあった。
So I haven't been following this. In the US, how many states now have legalized marijuana? Because the ones I remember, California, Colorado, those are the only ones I know off the top of my head. I know there were others. I know there were some along the Canada-US border, because they had to make it clear that even if you're traveling between like Canada and a state that both allow marijuana, you can't actually take it cross-border without being charged with felony drug trafficking. But I haven't been keeping up because, I don't know, there's lots of other news that's had more important headlines recently.
実際、ご近所の方からの聞き込みでも、玉江市にややヒステリックな傾向があるとは聞けましたが、叔父である哲平氏の名前が出たことは一度もありません。
それはおばさんが特に陰湿だったから目立っただけだと思います。
Okay, yeah. I imagine it's not that big of a deal if some places have it and others don't. They just kind of like turn a blind eye to it, or it's whatever.
おじさんがいじめていないという証明にはならないと思います。
なるほど。では、去年の時点でも哲平氏は児童に虐待を加えていた可能性が。
I'm going to Google again. All right. what U.S. states have legalized marijuana. Oh, great. The U.S. makes it more complicated. Because they have the following levels. Fully illegal, fully legal, decriminalized, CBD and THC only, medical and decriminalized. So, based on this, geez, my US geography is not super great. There's only 4 states where it's fully illegal. 3 are kind of like Midwestern. And the other one, is that South Carolina? That might be South Carolina. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 states where it's fully legalized, and all the others are somewhere in between, most being medical or medical and decriminalized. There you go. The United States making it more complicated than it really needs to be. Oh, and apparently, Samus says it looks like New York, it's fully legalized there, at least according to, this is from DISA.com. I don't know what DISA stands for. And this was updated March 2022. What does DISA stand for? I don't know. There you go. It is a lot more complicated than I thought it was. I thought it was just going to be yes or no. But no, there's 6 levels in between. Commander and the staff beside him jotted that down with a pen, as if to show that was their first time hearing the information.
つまり私たちが来たのはそういうことです。相談所に状況把握が正しく行われていないからです。里子が置かれている状況をちゃんと理解できたなら、これがどんなに緊急性のある問題か。
なるほど、お話は分かりました。鉄平氏の件については改めて調査させていただきます。
昨日もお話ししましたが、おじは1年間育児放棄をしていたはずです。それについて昨日はお返事がいただけませんでしたが、相談所さんはどうお考えですか？
もちろん当方でも鉄平氏が1年間自宅を開けられていた件は把握しており、それについて鉄平氏にもお尋ねしています。
で、おじのやつはそれになんて回答したんです？プライバシーで話せない点でしょうけど、それは里子を1年間ほったらかすに値する回答だったわけですよね。
Fully legal. So, fully legal, I assume, they don't actually give me a detailed description. I assume, actually let me double check before I make that statement. Did they explain what those meant? The statuses are current at the time of March 22nd, not including pending legislation or future dates where it may become available. All statuses are subject to state limits. For example, CBD oil may be legal only to 0.5 THC. Marijuana may be legal only to 1 ounce. Please consult local state laws. Yeah, so the levels. Yeah, you have fully illegal, which was 4 states. I think it's, if I had to guess, it looks like South Carolina, South Dakota, one to the left of South Dakota, but north of Nevada. Is that Utah? Maybe that's Utah. And then something in the middle, I don't know, Kansas or something like that. My central US geography is pretty bad. So those ones, it's fully illegal. You can't have it for medical reasons. You can't have it for any reason. And then you have other ones where it's decriminalized. So you won't go to prison, but they might write you a ticket for it, so you might have to pay a fine. Certain ones will allow only oils, the CBD with THC. Some will only allow it if you have a medical license. Some it's medical and decriminalized, so you can have it if you have a medical condition. And if you don't, you only get a ticket. And then fully legalized, you can have any form of marijuana as long as you're within the limits of percentage and amount. Yeah. You're in the process of legalizing it for medical use. Yeah, and I know this has come up in a lot of ones, but the cases, I don't know what the United States has decided on this. I don't even know what Canada has decided on this, to be honest. But do you pardon people who are in prison because of marijuana possession? Or do you keep them in prison because they broke the law at the time? You broke the law, so you need to serve your time, even though the law has changed. I know there's a whole debate on that. I don't have enough information to go into it. I don't even know if I want to go into it, but I know that's been an outstanding issue for a lot of places legalizing, or at least decriminalizing it.
おじが沖宮に別宅を勝手に構えて1年間ほったらかす理由になるってんならその旨一筆入れてもらいたいです。
I love how our friends are like, here's the plan, Keiichi, you do all the talking. And then they just all talk, like they've literally all talked.
そうなんですか。私どもは鉄平氏が聡子さんを養育するためにやむなく出稼ぎに出ていたという説明を受けておりまして、そのようなお話は初耳です。
What the hell? They just believe that crap?
初耳だって言うなら、聡子ちゃんは今日で3日続けて休んでいます。昨日から風邪という連絡は来ていますが、村に唯一の入江診療所に聡子ちゃんが診察に訪れた証拠はありません。3日も寝込むような病気で病院へ通わせない親の対応をどうお考えですか？
いえ、1日を休まれたのか確認しておりますが、3日も続いているとはそれも初耳です。ただですね、私どもの職員が直接お伺いし、聡子さんに虐待の事実確認をして本人の否定を得ています。鉄平氏と一緒に今後も住み続けたいですかとの問いにイエスのお返事をいただいておりますわけで。
本人が虐待はないと言ったら、それで虐待はないことになるんですか？
そこがですね、難しいところでして、虐待というのは児童本人にとってそうであるかどうかがとても重要なんです。いじめの定義と同じですね。やってる方がいじめだと思わなくても、受けている方がいじめだと思えばそれはいじめなわけです。
それはつまり聡子ちゃんが自分で私はおじに虐待を受けています、助けてくださいって言わないと助けられないという意味ですね。
いえ、だからそこまで極端には申しておりません。もちろん相談所で客観的に判断して児童の健全な育成に支障があると判断したときには緊急の判断をすることもあります。ですが聡子さんは現在それほど危機的な状態にはないと考えています。
No urgency at this point. That was exactly how the Child Consultation Centre felt about Sadako's case. Our classmates had been watching the discussion burst into an uproar.
危機的な状態にないなんてよく言えますね。どうしてそうだと断言できるんですか？
具体的に申し上げますと、聡子さんが直接間接の暴力を受けていないことによりますし、本人も虐待の事実を否定しています。また衣食住の3つが与えられていて、最低限の生活は保障されていることも大切です。
No, she's not. She wears the exact same outfit every day of every year. Because that's what game characters and like anime and cartoon characters do. Unless you're Jimmy Neutron, in which case you have a closet full of the exact same outfit, and you decide which one you want to pull out that day. That is in fact canon.
鉄平氏も聡子さんも現在の生活に不満は申しておりませんでした。
Yeah, exactly. As long as you have food, clothing, and shelter, you're perfectly fine. Yeah. That's how it works.
鉄平氏の去年の接し方やこの1年間の話は今後指導していく余地があると思いますが、とりあえずですね。
This is my reminder to everyone that 1, this is rural Japan. 2, this is 1983.
正直なところ少々皆さんの過剰な反応ではないかと思います。
過剰な反応ですか？
落ち着いて圭一君。向こうの攻撃は軽く受け流して様子を見よう。
くそ。
That's the point. This is supposed to piss you off. This is supposed to make you feel like the government and its agencies, in this case, don't support you. Don't do enough. Don't do what they should be doing. Speaking of doing what you should be doing, thank you, Samuses. It's been a long time since we've had one like that. I don't even think I've seen that URL before.
どうやら私たちの言う緊急性というやつが全て去年の出来事に基づいていると判断したようだね。
I see. Consultation Center was assuming that this year's cases and last year's cases were two separate incidents. On top of that, Sadako was denying the abuse entirely. If it's like the one I accidentally clicked on one time because I went to ban it and another mod banned it and it like moved it enough that I clicked on the link because like, I don't know, like the ban button was here and like the link underneath it like spread further and it like pushed it down. It was like, oh, $10 US gets you 100 subscribers. And I'm like, hold on a second. Let's assume you're telling the truth, which you're not. But let's assume you're telling the truth. 100 subscribers. Each sub costs, it depends on the regionally. Let's say $6 on average. $6. So 100 subscribers times 6 be $600. And you want to charge me 10. Seems like a good deal. I should go ahead with that.
今後は唯一の肉親として聡子さんに愛情を注ぐと言われております。
Bang. I heard a loud noise. Someone just pounded the table. My guess is it's Shion. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from clicking it. My advice would be copy it, incognito, then paste. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'm like, I'm really curious. How bad is this thing? And you just want to know. It's like, I can't remember the YouTuber's name, but basically what they do is they call all those like phone scam people where they're like, if you've ever been on one of those like sketchy websites and they're like, oh, your computer, Windows has detected a virus, please click here to fix your computer, you're vulnerable to hackers, whatever. They're all a scam. Don't ever click on one of them. So what he does is he makes a virtual machine, calls one of these numbers, where they'll often use screen sharing software. Crap. I was in a company that we use one for legitimate purposes, I promise. It was for installing software, legitimate software. Screen Connect, that's what it was called, Screen Connect. The tab titles from different webs. But yeah, so what he does is he gives them access, and he lets them, try and hack this virtual machine. And he just tries to keep them online as much as possible. And he tries to see what they're doing. He'll explain, like, oh, what they're doing here. They're doing this thing. They're adding this application, which they're going to run, which is going to like track your keystrokes, or it's going to send you to this website, or open this application that says you have a virus, and then they're going to charge you money for it and whatever. And then at the end, he often confronts them, like, hey, why are you trying to add this application to my computer which pretends it's a virus? And sometimes the smart people hang up and they're like, dang, we've been caught. And you're like, let's just start over. the bad people, they just like keep talking with him. They're like, oh, I'm not trying to scam you. And then like they'll yell at him. And my favorite ones are sometimes they'll like admit that they're scamming him and then still try to get like his bank information. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes he'll like stay on with them. And they're like, oh, I need you to drive to your nearest Walmart and get $300 in gift cards, and then give me like the codes of the gift cards written on the back. And he'll pretend he's driving there, and he's not. He's just wasting their time. I figured it must have been Shion, but oh, it was Rena. Rena's lost it. Her face has turned as furious as a demon's. Just remember, it's always best for a child to live with their parents. Parents are always right and they will never harm you. No, not always true.
家族愛によってしか育めないものがたくさんあります。私どもが聞いているところによると、1年間、聡子さんは未成年者と共に生計を共にし、大人の保護下にない生活をしていたことになっています。これは多感な成長期にある聡子さんにとって将来への大きな損失です。皆さんはお友達的な感情からその方が幸せだと思われているかもしれませんが、どうか哲平氏と聡子さんが叔父姪の間柄でもう一度新しい生活をやり直すのを温かく見守っていただけないでしょうか。
あんた今日の私たちが何の話をしてるのか聞いてました？
Now you want to see what they would do in confront with the Linux VM? So from what I've seen, a lot of them follow a very similar setup where they'll have you use some kind of screen share software. They'll ask for permission. Some of these software, they allow you to like blind so that the other person can't see what you're doing, or they'll ask you to go do something else so you're away from the computer screen so that you can't see what they're doing. Like they'll go and be like, oh, can you tell me what the number is, the serial number on the back of your router or something, so that you're supposedly far away from the computer so you can't see what they're doing. They will either download an application or upload an application to your computer, or copy and paste just like the text, make like a new file that's usually some kind of like command prompt script that will either like take you to a fake website, or they'll just go to your browser and type in a fake banking portal kind of deal. Or it's just like a command prompt thing, and they'll ask you to like enter your banking credentials there. And then a lot of these scams deal with pretending to accept payment from you, but it somehow messes up. So a lot of these ones, it'll be like, okay, I need you to transfer, let's say it's $30 for this consultation to fix your computer. But because you're doing a screen share and they have control, they can type while you're typing. So you'll type 30, and they'll press 0 at the same time, so it becomes 300. And then they're like, oh, it's been overpaid. We need to sort out the difference. So they'll do something like, oh, we'll transfer some money to you to cover whatever, to cover this thing. Oh, we've transferred too much. Yeah, you have to give it back to us in gift cards and stuff like that. The ones I've seen, that seems to be the main ploy with them. I haven't watched this for a couple of years, so I don't actually know what the up-to-date scams are on these sites. But I can't imagine them being too different, because I mean, sadly, they work. And going the gift card route, gift cards are super hard to trace, and that's why they use them. Unless you get someone who could like pay you in Bitcoin, but good luck with paying you in a cryptocurrency. If the person's not tech savvy enough, they probably don't have crypto. At least that's my thought on it.
つまり佐藤子本人が助けてくださいって言い出すまで周りで誰が何人騒ごうと聞く耳は持たないってわけですね。お前それだったら監禁されてる佐藤子の場合どうやって助けを求めるんだよ。おじに見張られてて外出もできず電話もできない。そんな状況で佐藤子がどうやって助けてって言えるんだよ。助けを求められない佐藤子に代わって俺たちが助けを求めてるんだ。
This is what we were saying at the very start, where they're like, oh, you have all the posters in here of like how like reach out if you're in an abusive situation, but those people can't or won't be here. Sadako can't be here to speak up in her defense. That's why her friends and teacher are coming on her behalf. And this is sadly all too common a situation.
いや、だからそうは言いません。クラスの皆さんがこうして20人以上もいらっしゃって、里子さんの実情を訴えられた事実はないがしろにしません。もちろん今日の件は里子さんへの対応を決める上で必ず考慮します。
その対応はいつ決まるんですか？その対応が決まるまでに里子ちゃんが虐待を受けない保証は誰が出すんですか？もしも里子に何かあったらあなたが責任を取るのね。
てめえ、里子にあざが一つでもついてみろ。ただじゃおかねえぞ。
シオンさん、言い過ぎです。
係長さん、その対応を決める期限を教えてください。
そうだ、対応を検討するっていつまでのんびりと検討する気なんだよ。
ですから里子さんのためにも慎重な対応を決めなければなりません。当然そのためには今後も本人と鉄平氏への面接を重ね、より良い親子、いえいえおじ姪の関係が築けるよう是正していきます。どうか里子さんのためを思えばこそ、もうしばらくの間温かく見守ってあげることはできないでしょうか。一つ里子さんのためにもご趣旨をお汲み取りいただけますと助かります。
それは私たちは緊急に保護するべきだという訴えに対し緊急性はないというお返事だと読み取らせていただいて結構なんですね。
I was starting to get lost in what they were trying to say, but Rena's words made me realize everything. We came here to tell them that they need to protect her right away. They clearly told us that they didn't see any reason to do so.
もちろん緊急性がある可能性もあることは皆さんからのお話でよくわかりました。ですので緊急性があるか否かもう一度よく検討してみようと思います。どうか本日はそんなあたりでご理解をいただけないでしょうか。
At first glance, it sounded like they were speaking humbly, but our insistence of the urgency of Sadako's situation was spinning their wheels. They had no intention of meeting us halfway. Right, they are officials, plus they have authority that can change the life of an individual like Sadako. Considering that, being a little overcautious and carefully deliberating matters wasn't the wrong response for them. And I would have understood that if this wasn't so personal. But in reality, Sadako had no time to spare. We could see that, because we understood everything. We knew how Sadako would reject me after I rubbed her head, because of the horrible view she got from her uncle. That nightmare would come true in just a few days. In that nightmare, I knew I should save her, but I just wasted my time. I wasn't going to make the same mistake. I had to move immediately.
前原君、お話ししたいことはすべて話せましたか？
はい。
では、以上になります。 本日はご多忙中お時間をお割きくださりまして、はい、皆さんお礼をしてください。委員長号令。
どうもありがとうございました。
いえ、こちらこそ貴重なご意見を本当にありがとうございました。
オッケー、みんなお疲れさん。気をつけて帰りなね。
We all came back to Hinamizawa together, and it was time for us to part. The class president, Neon, gave everyone the notice we were dismissed. However, everyone stuck around to talk about what happened today. We came back to Hinamizawa on our bikes, so we didn't really get to talk with each other. Now that we've gotten off them, we finally got to say what we wanted.
みんな初めての経験なんだよ。全員で力を合わせてクラスメートのために戦うという経験が。
なんだかダム戦争の時みたいですね。こういう盛り上がり方は。そうだね。考えてみれば、ここにいる子たちの一部はダム戦争を覚えていても参加したわけじゃないだろうしね。まああの時より紳士的ですよ。誰も血を流さないし、火炎瓶もなければ機動隊もいないし。
団結はひなみ沢の花なのです。
Because you don't have enough points for a juggle learn.
そうだね。
Man, it's been so long. I've forgotten what I was like. I know what I'm supposed to be learning, but I forgot how to learn what I was learning.
おじさんも久しぶりに血がたぎってきたよ。
People in Hinamizawa all got together to fight against the dam project. Everyone working together as a team means a lot to the villagers here.
一人には二人で石を投げ。
Like I forgot like the muscle memory. I remember I'm doing takeouts, and it was you start with arms crossed and you go, and you're grabbing. Yeah, I'd have to look at it. Like I remember the arm movement more or less. You're trying to go from one side to the other and then back, but I forget like what the hands do in the middle. There's like it's a takeout, so at some point you're doing you're doing like an arm around kind of thing. Okay. I remember more than I thought I did.
1000人には村すべてで立ち向かえ。
何？ことわざ？
ああ、大昔に大ババ様が言ったとかいう言葉です。村全体で結束して戦えっていう劇なんだそうで。
一人には二人で戦い、1000人には村全体で。なるほどな。常に団結して敵を圧倒しろってことか。
それだけの意味ではありませんよ。団結して戦うという意味はもちろんですが、一人のために村全体で結束して戦えという意味も含まれています。個人の痛みを全員で共有して我が身と思って戦おうというのが本来の意味ですね。
なんだかすごい。今の私たちにはすごく重みのある言葉ですね。
ってことはつまりそういうことさ。俺たちの戦い方は実にひなみ沢的だってことじゃねえか。なるほどな。みんながこうして全員で協力してくれたのは俺の演説に感動したからじゃなくて、そういう団結の土壌があったからなんだな。
The classmates were all still sticking around and discussing the issues surrounding Sadako. For some of them, this was like a return of the dam conflict, and also a big chance for those who never experienced it. It almost felt like a festival. Most of them thought that we didn't make much progress today, though.
前原さん、結局今日のって北条を助けないぞっていう最終回答なわけですよね。
そこまで致命的に言ったわけじゃないが、見殺しって意味ではそうだろうな。
僕たちは近所だから、あいつがどんなやつか昔からよく知ってます。あいつは普通じゃないですよ。
相談所があいつのことを何も分かっていないのがよく分かったです。
今日のこれきりで終わりにしたらダメだと思います。
Tomita-kun and Ukumura-kun seemed serious. They weren't just supporting me, they wanted to make a move themselves.
北条を助けるためにもっと頑張らないといけないと思います。
意義なし。賛
Starting to believe that these are the same innocent kids who are always running around the school. Really happy to see them so
当
motivated.
然だぜ。聡子は仲間だ。絶対に助け出す。そのためにどうかまた力を貸してくれ。
水臭いですよ、前原さん。これはクラスメートとしての務めです。前原さんに頼まれたから戦うことじゃない。僕たちが自発的に参加しなければならない戦いなんです。
おお、富田くんもなかなか言うようになったね。明日もまたみんなで押しかけますか？
手を休めたくないところだね。
継続は力なりって言います。私もレナさんに同感です。でも今日と同じメンバーでまた押しかけてもまたかで終わりだね。今日が効果的だったのは昨日よりも大人数で押しかけてきたって点なんだからさ。
じゃあ今日よりももっと大勢で行けばいいってことかな。
Rena turned back towards Everin as she spoke. We all understood what she was trying to say. Not all children from Hinamizawa go to the Hinamizawa branch school. Around half of them go to the school in Okinomiya. Those children are not our classmates, but they're still our friends from around the neighborhood. Hinamizawa is a small village after all. They know Sadako as well as we do. They also know what's going on with her right now. Rumors spread at the speed of light in Hinamizawa. I can tell that by now. Everyone in the village knows about my embarrassing history of undergoing punishments.
じゃあ俺は帰ったら大輔に話してみるよ。あいつならきっと来てくれる。
俺も帰ったら友達みんなに電話する。沖宮の学校なんだから図書館はすぐ近くだし。
そうだ
そうしよう。
いい流れになってきたね。まあケイちゃんの生演説がないから倍とはならないだろうけど、もう10人くらいは増えそうな予感だね。私も子供会 OB の人とかに声をかけてみる。多分3人くらいは来てくれると思う。私も学校の友人に声をかけてみます。ただ聡子や事情を知らない人たちなので、私の交友関係程度でせいぜい4人くらいです。
子供以外の戦力ってのはやっぱり絶望的なのか？
懲戒関係は北条家には関わりたくない人が多いね。
ダム戦争以来のしがらみがあるんだよな。ならお年寄りはどうだ？リカちゃんの方で神社に出入りするお年寄りに声をかけられないか？
お年寄りの方がもっと聡子に冷たいのです。
お社様のたたりを盲信してる連中ほど北条家のことを罰当たりだと信じてますからね。
やっぱり子供の力までが限界なのか？レナ、これで何人くらいになった？
17人だよ。全員が来てくれるとは思えないけど、それでも40人に迫る人数になるね。40人も集めるなんてさすが圭一なのです。
なんだよリカちゃん、40人で足りてるのか
？I grinned and tapped Rika-chan's chest.
20人以上で押しかけて、ああいう対応だった相手をノックアウトするにはもう20人くらいは欲しいところだぜ。
確かに60人も押しかけたら相当ビビるだろうけど、そんな人間どこから引っ張ってくるわけ？
俺を侮ってるな。俺の名前は前原圭一。俺がやると言ったら必ずやる。説明は以上だ。亀田君、明日の夕方に第三波攻撃を仕掛ける。どうか力を貸してくれ。
K の頼みなら断りたくない。俺たちは 同じジャンボパフェをつつき合った仲、それは義兄弟のちぎりにも勝る。だから俺も K に力を貸したいっすよ。でも明日だけはダメなんです。
なんだと？なんだよ、どうしてだよ亀田。お前リアル少女の危機にも立ち上がれないのか。貴様、二次元戦士の誇りはどうした。貴様を修正する歯を食いしばれ。
Are we literally beating up this kid?
待ってください、ケイさん。俺の言い分も聞いてくださいよ。俺も普段の日だったら手伝いたいです。そりゃ俺もメイド姿のさとこちゃんに惚れてますし、普段ならあのきつい目で睨まれながら罵られるなんて最高ですよ。
I'm glad I don't have to read this.
でも明日だけはダメなんです。
なんだと貴様。言ってみろ亀田。てめえ親の葬式程度だったら奥歯の3本は覚悟しやがれ。
だって明日はデザートフェスタの当日なんですよ。
Hey, Trope, how's it going? Yeah, you came in at an interesting time.
何？
ケイさん、デザートフェスタっすよ、デザートフェスタ。俺らの間じゃ
It's going pretty good. Going pretty good. How about for you? You still been going through Kingdom Hearts 2? I remember you playing that. Was that last weekend? Or was that just earlier this week?
フェがひらがななのがポイント高めなんです。実は俺チケットが当選してるんすよ。他の誰も誘いません。K さん、俺と一緒にデザフェに行きましょう。そして俺と一緒に生クリームシチュー。
Once again, I'm so glad I don't have to read this outline. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember where I watched you up until. The last thing I remember you were doing is you were doing all of the Ariel's world. And I think you got to a point where you needed Andaja magic and didn't have it. I think that's the last thing I remember. But it's also been so long since I played Kingdom Hearts 2 that I don't remember how far that is. Okay. We're beating the crap out of this kid. None of the staff in this restaurant even care that this is happening. I'm pretty sure we just threw him into a table.
翌日からなら協力します。だから明日だけは勘弁してください。どうかよろしくお願いしますっす。
ケイチくん、とりあえず明日だけは許してあげてもいいんじゃないのかな。
いやダメだ。
I'm not surprised, Samus.
今日は勘弁だな。
The Project Diva world? Oh, there's something I haven't heard in a long time.
亀田ってめえ。
Gotcha, gotcha.
少女天秤にかけやがったな。少女を大切にできるからケーキをめでる資格があるのだ。そもそも貴様は貞子の良さが分かってない。まるで分かってない。いいか、そもそも貞子の魅力は一見ツンツン、フラグが立つとデレデレのツンデレにある。ツンデレ最大の魅力はツンとデレの格差にあるのは貴様も知っているはずだ。
What is this conversation? This is just the comedic relief section that they needed between child abuse. But no. Yeah, below me is the dessert menu. It's actually... Those are pretty good prices. Slice of cake, 300 yen, which would be about $3 in 1983. I don't know what that would be with inflation. Actually, I guess you'd have to do the inflation before you do the conversion. Whatever 300 yen in the 80s would be now, and then convert to US. It's probably more expensive than I think it is. They made the text smaller so they could fit in more of this nonsense in this one slide.
どのくらいすごい降臨かってと、あれだ。金色の野に姫姉様が降臨するくらいすげえぞ。神じゃねえからな。ウプウプとかパス希望とか言ってんじゃねえぞ。その魅力を分からずに貴様なんだ？二次元選手の誇りはないのか？
The long and short of this is he's basically saying she's the ultimate hard to get, doesn't show her feelings to you princess. That's the long and short of it. And that she's better than cake.
100年早いわ。ヒロインがわずか8色で256個のドットで表現されていた時代の先人たちは、そこに愛と萌えを見出してより高い次元へ思いを昇華させてきたのだ。それは全て二次元への逃避ではない。現実の女性を愛するがゆえの愛の昇華。
There's that bottom left of the dessert menu next to it. Okay, so you've got... Yes, can you see my mouse cursor? Perfect. This one here looks like you have maybe mango, then ice cream, then chocolate, strawberry, and just fruit on top. This one looks like whipped cream, maybe like a cherry or raspberry. You've got a stick of chocolate pocky, mint, lemon, cherry on vanilla ice cream. This one looks like that's like a cookie wafer. You've got a stick of pocky. I don't know what this green thing is, if that's like a ball of mochi or what. Could be. You're talking about under the cakes? Oh, under the cakes? That just looks like a chocolate truffle tower. That looks like a donut. That looks like red wine. I don't think red wine would go well with your cake. Just 1983 $3 US. Okay. Okay, so it's actually... I don't like red wine, actually. I'm a white wine person. Okay, now they're making references to video game characters. Yeah, that would go well, actually. I don't like red wine, but yeah, I could see that. Get out. Okay, that's Dragon Buster. I assume this is all accurate, but I really don't know what video games they're talking about. I don't even know if these video games existed in 1983. I guess they'd have to be arcade games.
美少女の姿を見たんだ。そう、俺たち男は想像力は
Dragon Busters 85. Okay.
真実を探り、真のプレシャスを思い描いて冒険する。
That's close. It's a close reference. This is 83. Tower of Druaja? Okay. So I think they're just trying to make 80s video game references about heroines you're saving from those games. Even if those references are actually an anachronism for this 1983 time.
それは目的を忘れ、手段に溺れた明白な証拠。想像の中の女性像は現実を否定する存在ではない。俺たちは現実の女性をこよなく愛し、故に想像の世界からそれを高度に再現できる新世代男子なのだ。そもそも現実より美しい存在なのに想像というのが良くない。なんだか逃避しているみたいだからな。
It could be inconsistent if it's talking about a Japan versus US release. Okay, we're clearly anachronistic right here when we're talking about Microsoft releasing the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 in 1983. We're not even trying anymore. Okay, we got Resident Evil and Metal Gear. Okay, guys, which of these consoles from 1983 is getting Resident Evil and Metal Gear? The 360 or the PS3? They would normally, yes. The new Dead or Alive is coming out. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Okay, we just nuked this whole restaurant. Just remember, you can win any argument by referencing future technology. This whole conversation was a mistake. What can I say, Samus? I like playing games with time travel, apparently. Lewd gesture senpai. Yeah, just don't bother.
女の子を救うためならデザートフェスタは年に4回あるんだ。そのうちの1回くらい行けなくて
Back to dessert.
未練はないさ。
未練タラタラなのです。
I love how we brought all our friends here and they're just like, I don't understand what's happening, but they're having fun. Dessert Fiesta is, in this game, Angel Mort has 4 times a year where they try out new items to put on the menu. It's basically like a pre-trying out the seasonal menu. Yeah. That's basically it. But like people like this restaurant because of all the girls dress as maids. So why is it called a fiesta? I don't know.
例の叩き売りオークションの司会の報酬に確かデザートフェスタの年間チケット3年分だったよな。どうだ亀田君、そのうちの1年分を譲ってやるよ。
いや、よしてくれケイ。俺も男だ。女の子を助けるために 報酬で釣られたなんて言われたら恥さらしもいいところっす。
しーちゃん、何か優遇してあげられないのかな。
I don't like the look on your face.
ブラックリスト帳消しで。
ブラックリスト？なんだそりゃ。
ああ、一般の人は知らないよね。エンジェルモートはこういうお店だから困ったお客さんもたまにいるんだよね。それで困った人の名前はどんどん書いていって一定ポイントに達したら漏れなく入店お断りの刑になるってわけよ。
よしてくれよ。このエンジェルモートマスター
No, no, what did you do?
そんなブラックリストに載るようなノーマナーをするわけがない。
出会い頭を装ったおさわり2回、頼む気のないオーダーコール、チケットの天外取引エトセトラであと1点。
They allow for 5 strikes. They're pretty generous.
そんなの困るっすよ。エンジェルモートに入店金なんてなったら俺は明日から何のために生きていけばいいんすか。
ではありますけど、今の亀田さんの聡子を救うために一肌脱ごうという男気に惚れました。ですのでこれを特別にチャラにしようと思います。
ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
ねえみーちゃん、本当にブラックリストなんて存在するのかな。
No.
さてね、おじさんは知らない。
亀田君、本当にすまん。デザートフェスタでは落選したら俺に声をかけろ。絶対に同席者に混ぜてやるからな。
Hug. That's the sound effect for hugging. We reaffirmed our strong friendship with weird lewdness.
うちの野球部の連中と沖宮タイタンズの連中全員を連れて行く。
He's supposed to be at most like 15.
それで悪くても10人ちょいは集まるはずだぜ。話を聞く限りじゃどう考えてもそのおじって野郎はまともじゃない。
He's probably supposed to be around 14, 15.
なんなら周りくどいことしねえで直接締めちまった方が早いんじゃないですか。
But yes, to me, I would say he looks like he's a high school student at least.
ダメだよ。暴力で解決すれば必ずその仕返しが聡子ちゃんに跳ね返る。
なるほどな。命を奪うってわけにはいかないしな。
I love how everyone's like, first thoughts are, can we beat him up? Can we kill him? I guess not.
わかったぜ。正々堂々正面から勝負でいきましょうっす。みんな球児だからよ。警察沙汰はごめんだし。
だがな、10人じゃまだ足りない。他に声はかけられる当てはねえか。
Can we beat him up and then kill him? We did try this. I mean, it worked. He died. Problem was solved. And then the entire town died. But, you know. Comedic grin at me and suddenly stood up and shouted.
野郎ども、話は聞こえただろうな。明日のチケットが当選しているやつまで来いとは言わねえ。でもな、もし明日が空いているなら力を貸せ。
Everyone in the restaurant looked at him. There were a lot of people around. The dessert fiesta is tomorrow. So shouldn't today have been just a normal day?
デザートフェスタを落選した常連たちは今日食いに来てるんす。ここにいるのは皆常連。名前は知らずとも同じ星の下に生まれた俺の仲間たちなんす。同志諸君。
I mean, when have I ever played straightforward games, Samus?
聞けば聞くほどに 将が煮えくり返る話により。な、同志将軍。
痛いけな女の子を泣かせるなんて男に生まれたものだ。
No, please.
女の子を大切にできん愚か者め、拙者が切る。
想像の中ならともかく。
Gosh.
論外でござるよ。
Yeah, we're not acknowledging any of this conversation.
黙ってついてこいって言ってくださいです。俺たちはあんたの食いっぷり。
Every Wednesday.
沖宮中隊着艦整列。同志警いつでも突撃命令を。
貞子城救出作戦了解。作戦開始は明日夕刻。時計を合わせろ。遺書は書いておけ。どうせ死ぬなら。
And your will is written, because you may die.
みんなすまん。
People have lots of weird
見
names.
ず知らずの貞子のために本当にすまん。
見ず知らずだからといって。
I'm just glad that they don't have art for any of these people.
それに我々は里子城のこともよく。
Going back to Metal Gear.
城がよく顎のところにクリームがついているのに気づかなかったりするとき、同胞は胸の奥からこみ上げる桃色の感情に酔わされるのであります。よって人事ではないのであります。
よしわかった。野郎ども、てめえらの命はこの俺前原圭一
I feel like we're relying on the wrong people, but alright.
俺の背中を預けるぜ。明日の夕方だ。気合を入れやがれ。
Are they worshipping us? I was joking when I said we were gonna make a cult, okay?
圭一君って意外なところでも人気者なんだね。
うちの町会もそうだけど、本人の預かり知れぬところで評判が高いんだよ。同性に訴えるカリスマでもあるのかな。
Okay, the weird people respect us, huh?
お店の子たちも聡子の事情に同情してくれてるみたいで、非番で近所の子が何人か行きたがってるみたいです。
すごいね、圭一君。本当に60人を集めちゃった。あるいはそれ以上に集まるのかもしれない。これが運命を打ち破ろうとする力。
This is a dumb power. But it's our power. Alright. Did we finish a chapter on that? No. Okay. But I think that's where we're gonna call it. I don't know what that madness was at the end.